Welcome back to episode 209 of the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast. My name is Josh. I'm here, Troy, producer Louie, Baba Louie, producer Levi, the man of many names.
Man of many names.
That'll be the new one. What's going on, guys? We'll start with Troy. What's new, Troy?
Not a whole lot. Baseball practice got canceled tonight because a couple streaks of lightning that were going around. And then I've got a new monitor, so I'm trying a new setup. It might be a disaster. We'll see how it goes. But right now it's making my life a lot easier. But we'll see what happens as we get going, because I feel like I'm looking all over the place now. And then I'm going to add one more monitor to the left, so I have three. So 2 verticals and 1 horizontal in the middle. But we'll see.
Wow. Getting fancy, Troy.
Mm-hmm.
And if things do go haywire, well, that's just our show. There was some serious thunder, though. I know you were kind of poking, but you were making shots fired at the weather, Troy. But did you guys hear the booms?
Yes.
I did. It was one of those that just materialized around our area, and then it just kind of moves on. But it was enough to cancel baseball for that 30 minutes it hit.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do your guys' dogs freak out with the thunder? Because right when it hit, mine came right downstairs under the table under my feet for an hour.
Puppy Kobe is afraid of manhole covers. He's afraid of storm sewers. He's not afraid of thunder. So I don't know. What about you, Troy? Your dogs get freaked out?
The older one does. The older she gets a little freaked out. The puppy just is like, what? Oh, okay, something's booming. I don't care.
All right, Baba Louie, what's new, buddy?
I just got back from hockey because that did not get canceled. But I'm glad that we actually had that weather today. That we had this last couple of days, man, scorchers outside, especially working in it. Ooh, we needed that to happen.
Hot here in Minnesota. Everyone talks about how cold it gets here in the winter, which is true. It also gets super hot during the summer. Well, I got to start off with a little personal national talk. There was a big personal pickup that I failed to mention on last show because I didn't know. I think I picked up COVID at the national. And so, yeah, that's exciting. I'm a hockey card podcaster, though, and we play hurt. We all know that. Do I feel as bad or look as bad as I feel, boys? Because I feel like Nikes right now.
Well, I figured with that many people in one spot, it was going to happen, but because I think a lot of people had picked something up at that show. Who knows if it's always COVID, but a lot of stuff going around. But you sound all right. I know you're tired. I know. Sweating.
Yeah. Well, you were tinkering with your new monitor setup before we got started.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here. And all of a sudden, I got like about 400 degrees, and I just started flop sweating. And I'm like, oh, this is so bad. I had to take my hat off because it was like I was super hot. And then that pass was like hot flash. Am I in menopause? What's going on? Because it's a little bit better now, but we'll power through and try to make it a good show. A couple things to mention before we get started. First, we got to start off with an apology. It happens sometimes on the show. It was brought to our attention that we made a comment about Upper Deck president Jason Mashara being a little corporate-y and maybe not in touch with the collector on our show. Others, not Jason, want to pointed out to us that he was a card shop owner before working at Upper Deck and makes a conscious effort to stay very much in contact with card shops to this day, with collectors, etc. And the reason why we're bringing it up is, Troy, you and I have a personal policy on our show here that pertains to Upper Deck and everyone else too, in that we want to make sure that we're authentic and honest and opinionated and critical, even where we feel it's merited, but we never want to kind of cross over into making points that get personal about people. And this one may be kind of eked into that territory a little bit. So we want to apologize to Jason for that. In case your conspiracy brains are wondering, no, we are not put up to this. We just like to hold ourselves accountable for our show, and we've made mistakes before. We're going to make them going forward, I'm sure. It's important to know, though, that when we do, we own it, and that's just what we're trying to do today. So again, sorry, Jason, if you're listening, it was not cool, and we'll do better. Anything you want to say on that, Troy?
I was gonna say he's not the first one we've had to apologize to. A long time
Be the
ago.
last.
Long time ago, I had a mea
Last.
culpa where I had to make an apology on something. I didn't live up to our standards, went off the rails, and all's better now.
Yeah,
It's all
that's
good. Yeah.
Jeremy, you took a big giant
Yeah.
dump on tag for about 3 minutes, and then so it ended up being I'm glad you did. So thank you, Troy, for that, because
Yeah.
it's that's how we got to know.
Yeah, we have
Jeremy.
to be critical. We be critical when needed, but it can't be personal. We gotta be. So we felt the embarrassment. We apologize. It's time
Totally agree. All right, one last thing to mention before we get started is that the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast is a Patreon podcast, which means we rely on support of listeners like yourself to help us cover show expenses, continue to produce more, and we hope better hockey card content and to fund initiatives, even in a small way, to grow the hockey hobby. You can support us for as little as $5 a month. Join our out of $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. Forever get that title, get exclusive access to the Gong Show Discord, chat with us every day there. It's very easy to do. To support our show, you can go to our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, click on the Become a Patron link at the top of the page, or you can go to Patreon's website directly, patreon.com, and search for Hockey Cards Gong Show. There's a link in the show description if you're listening to us on a podcast or watching us on YouTube. And then in our Instagram and TikTok profiles, there's a link there as well. We have one new patron since our last show. And Nico, a friend of ours from Light Up Display, joined our partner program, Troy. Young man I've gotten to know here in Minnesota. He's involved with Mark at My Car Post too. A very, very impressive kid, going to college in the fall. Has created a cool hobby product called Light Up Display. I have one on my desk right now. And just like the name says, it's a lighted display for your cards. Well, here's a picture of mine with my Wayne Gretzky 16.
Hold on, we got to take a step back. He's not even in college yet.
No. Yeah, he's like,
what did I do with my life when I was that age? Holy cow.
Yeah, well, what we were doing is nowhere near as mature as this kid is. And like I said, he's created a cool product. It sells really well at card shows here. It helps you enjoy your collection. That's the thing I like about it too, is I'm getting more and more into finding accessories that, as opposed to this card being stuck in a box and never getting to enjoy it, now I get to have it as I'm working on the show right there with me, and it's amazing. The colors change. It's really cool. Like I said, I think the hobby needs more product like these. So if you want a light display, they're pretty cheap, like $10 and $4 shipping or something like that. Go to lightupdisplay.com and order yourself one. You're supporting a young hobby entrepreneur. And again, thanks to Nico and Light Up Display for helping us support our show. Oh, and while we're at it too, also check out another Gong Show Patreon partner, Brewmatic, who breaks hockey on Loop app and Brewmatic 47. So
I put his profile up here. I went into the Loop app. Here it is.
Yeah,
so Brewmatic 47.
Nico, a little shout out. But with that,
it's time for the Gong Show.
Ooh, short and sweet.
Short and sweet.
All right, we begin the show with the almost greatest NHL player to wear number 9. Next, we take a look at 5 junk wax era hockey card treasures. Then we take a look at hobby news. This is followed by a fantastic conversation that Josh and I had with Johnny Amendola from Mintink. A lot of good information. First card shop owner that's been on our show. We figured it out too. So
crazy.
Gong Show first. Then it's off to new product releases. We end the show with looking at some of our favorite hockey cards in the current Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction and any personal pickups. I have to tell Josh this. When I started writing for the show, I immediately started PWCC and forgot that it was Fanatics. And then I remembered. So again, Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction.
Takes a while to deprogram that, Troy.
I know. It takes it's like in my house, when we moved in, I'll say within the first year we moved where the silverware is, I still go to the old spot where the silverware was. Like
really?
A bunch of times. It's just like programmed in my head. That's where it was, and that's where it's not is anymore. So it's kind of like that. Okay. Previously, we looked at the greatest NHL player that wore the number that matched our episode number. We ran through all the numbers, so we are now looking at the almost greatest NHL player to wear each number from the runners-up in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article. The almost greatest NHL player to wear number 9 per the nominees in the Hockey Writers' Greatest NHL Player to Wear Each Number article, and selected by me is this guy, Josh, Maurice Richard. If you're watching on YouTube, I don't know what this picture is, but he looks deranged and crazy. I love it. It's a fantastic picture. It's really hard to find action photos of old players. They're really hard to find, but
it's like Batman villain Rocket Richard.
Yeah, it is. It is a fantastic picture. Now, holy cow, the number 9 is absolutely loaded, and you probably could have a whole episode debating the runners up at number 9. Here is who is listed as the runners up at number 9 in the article. We have our boy, who I can never say his name right, Johnny Busick.
Got it.
I got it. All right. We have Bobby Hull. We also have Mike Modano. Took me a while to find a North jersey one because I absolutely refused to put him in a Dallas jersey.
Thank you.
So that's the 3 that they had listed as the runners up besides Maurice Richard. And then if you expand past that list, because I was like, well, 9's got to have some other pretty great players. And there were. We also had Glenn Anderson, Bernie Nichols, big Bernie Nichols, and what happened? I lost a guy. Oh, there he is. Paul Correa. Then Bernie Nichols. And then last but not least is Yager Hall of Fame hater, Lanny McDonald. So there we go. That was all the other, like, Troy found as runner-ups. But
do you think that he maybe could have used like a mustache grooming kit? That thing is out of control.
Nah, that thing's awesome. It's his thing, his shtick, right? That's what he's known for. As a reminder, the greatest to wear number 9 was this guy, Gordie Howe. This is actually the first time I think I put the picture up of who was the greatest player to wear number 9. So we're evolving after almost 100, or no, how many of these have I done? Probably 87 almost greatest. I don't know, but there we go. But Josh, we're not done because I went off the rails. I just wanted to see who are the number 9s in the current NHL season that were our top goal scorers. So here we go. JT Miller had 103 points. Philippe Forsberg, 94 points. Clayton Keller was 76 points. Adrian Kempe, 75 points. And then Jack there he is. Jack Eichel was 68 points. So there we go. All right. Enough
I have
of
a
all
question
the
for you
pictures.
about the number 9.
Yeah.
Aside from 99, because that's always going to be the default, but after going through this week, in your mind, is the number 9 the greatest hockey number of all?
Probably. It probably has the most players or the most points. Just it's been around forever. I even think, if I remember right, the article might say something like that. Like, this is the number with the most candidates or something like that. But yeah, 9 has a lot of really good players.
Then another point on Lanny McDonald, because I just saw this today, not too long ago, that Yager announced he plans to play every game for Clodagh again next year. So there's another year he won't be pushed on the road.
Reset the timer.
Yeah.
Oh, well. It is what it is. Okay. So our boy, Maurice Rocket Richard, he's a right winger from Montreal, Quebec. So here's kind of a shortened timeline of Richard's path to the NHL, because they didn't have the NHL entry draft back then. So when Richard was 18, he joined the Verdun Juniors, or Verdun, Verdun Juniors, where after the season, he was promoted to the Montreal Canadiens affiliate in the Quebec Senior Hockey League. Richard then suffered a broken ankle in his first game with the QSHL Canadiens. He would return the following season to the QSHL Canadiens and promptly suffered a broken wrist after 31 games with the team.
Fun.
Yeah. He was then able to rejoin the team for the playoffs. The NHL Canadiens took note of Richard's play during the season and also were dealing with a loss of players due to World War II. They had struggling attendance due to poor play and a lack of Francophone players on the team. This all led to Richard getting a tryout with the NHL Canadiens. He made the team and made his NHL debut at the Canadiens on November 8th, 1942.
So really in the middle of World War II.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. But that probably helped a little bit get him on the team.
Give him an opportunity.
Yeah. Richard played in 978 regular season NHL games over an 18-season NHL career. Richard played his entire NHL career at the Montreal Canadiens. For his awards and accomplishments, Josh, Hall of Famer, 8-time Stanley Cup winner, 1-time Hart Trophy winner, 8-time NHL first All-Star team selection, 6-time NHL second All-Star team selection. Boy, in my notes, I put 103-time NHL All-Star game participant. That should be 13. Not
103, that's it?
Not 103. Yeah. Named to the NHL's top 100 players to ever play the game in 2017. And his number 9 is retired by the Montreal Canadiens in 1960. For his stats, 544 goals, which is currently 33rd all time. 442 assists for 966 points. That doesn't seem right. I feel like my math is off. One of those numbers is wrong somewhere. I apologize. Louis, can you give me Maurice Richard goals, assisted points? And we'll come back to that. Richard made the playoffs in 15 of his 18 NHL seasons, compiling 82 goals, 44 assists for 126 points in 132 NHL playoff games played. Best regular season of Richard's career from a point standpoint was his 54-55 season, where Richard had 38 goals, 36 assists for 74 points in 67 games played with Montreal. So looking at Richard, I kind of will say I borrowed this, but I stole it from the NHL 100 Greatest Players to Play profile. It basically sums him up pretty well. From the day he first pulled on a Montreal Canadiens sweater in 1942, becoming the most fearsome forward of his generation, after a few broken bones slowed his start, Richard would maintain, "I'm just a hockey player." But to French Canadians and to the province of Quebec that claimed him as their own and used him as a rallying cry during a time of political need, the Rocket was very much more than just a gifted goal scorer and the spark that ignited his team. Richard existed for a people as a cultural necessity as much as a hockey player. Perhaps more than any other player, Richard transcended the game in which he was a bona fide superstar. All of this was built on his otherworldly talent as a fire-breathing, left-shooting right wing who often is described as hockey's most dangerous player of all time from the blue line in. There you go.
Dragon?
Yeah, he's a dragon. Pretty intent there. All right, Louis got me some stats. 978 games, 544 goals, 422 assists for 966 points. So I had the assist wrong in my previous one. Thank you, Louis. All right.
It's Levi, by the way, Troy. Levi.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Levi. After retiring, Richard was a team ambassador, and after 3 years was named vice president of the Canadiens. However, he resigned 1 year later as he felt his feedback was ignored. This led to a period where Richard refused to allow his name to be associated with the Canadiens. Richard would go on to lend his name and likeness to a wide variety of products, but not letting the Canadiens use it. In 1972, Richard did return as a head coach of the Quebec Nordiques of the WHA. However, he only coached 2 games before resigning due to the stress. Richard would reconcile with the Canadiens in 1981 and continued as a team ambassador. Unfortunately, Maurice Richard passed away in May of 2000 due to abdominal cancer. So how's that? You are like the man of the franchise, but then they don't really take you seriously. They're just like, oh, you're an ambassador. Sure, we'll put you in title as a vice president. So there was a disconnect somewhere. Is it like our show? Is it like I think I have any opinion? Josh was like, just sit there. Sit there. Do your thing.
Stop it. Well, he was disenfranchised from the team for a long time then, huh?
Yeah. It wasn't like a short spat. This went on for a while, but good. Glad they made amends. So that's good. Okay. For our fun, interesting facts, nickname, even though I've already said it, the Rocket, one of the best nicknames in NHL history. It's the one everyone knows. Since 1999, the NHL's leading goal scorer has been annually awarded the Maurice Richard Trophy.
Yep.
The Montreal Canadiens AHL affiliate, the Laval Rocket, are named as a tribute to Maurice Rocket Richard. In addition, there's another team that had the Rocket monitor in the Montreal area, and that would be the Montreal Rocket of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, who played from 1999 to 2003 before relocating to Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. That's pretty cool to have yourself named after a team. Got to have a good last name, like the Laval Iversons. That doesn't do it for anyone.
The Laval Levi's or Laval Joshes.
There you go.
Now,
right.
so we don't have to start
Oh, yeah.
next show with the apology to the Quebec Major Junior Hockey. Isn't it Maritime now? Didn't they change that name?
Probably.
It was Major.
Back then it was then it was the
Yeah.
QMJHL. Acronym City. Acronym Soup.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Richard, first player in NHL history to score 50 goals in one season. He scored 50 goals in 50 games during the 1944-45 season. First player to reach 500 career goals. Retired from the NHL as its all-time leading scorer with 544 goals. Richard, Elmer Locke, and Toe Blake formed the Punchline, a high-scoring forward line of the 1940s.
How many shows in a row have we referenced Toe Blake?
I was going to think Punchline is probably, we've said Punchline a lot, probably 5 times in the last month.
Your Toe Blake leader, the Hockey Cards Gongshow podcast.
Toe Blake. Love Toe Blake. Hockey Hall of Fame waived its 5-year waiting period for eligibility, and Richard was inducted in 1961. Josh, he is the first non-politician to be honored by the province of Quebec with a state funeral. And finally,
cool.
We have talked about this before, but if you don't know about it, please go read about the Richard riot. It's a crazy story. It's absolutely wild what happened. We've talked about it. I think at least twice we both went into it in various segments, but please go read that. We don't have enough time here to rehash that again. All right. Richard's rookie card. See if I can find my new setup here. There it is. 1951 Parkhurst, number 4. Maurice Rocket Richard rookie card. Because why, Josh? Everything's a rookie card in that set.
Well, he was a rookie in 1942, right? So I mean, that's crazy that we know that during both World Wars there weren't really any sports cards being produced, and so 1951 is the first hockey set that was created.
I mean, there were other cards like there, but they're, I don't know if they were like offshoots or what they were considered at the time.
Oh, like dairy cards and stuff.
Yeah. So there are no PSA 10 copies of this card. There are 5 PSA 9 copies. There's a total of 652 graded copies at PSA, with the PSA 1 grade having the most graded copies at 96. Most recent sale of any graded copy of this card that I could find was a sale for a PSA 2 copy on July 13th of this year via Heritage for $2,200 US. A PSA 7 copy of this card did sell via eBay and verified in Terapeak on February 18th of this year for $10,666 US. And then during crazy pandemic times, a PSA 8.5 copy of this card sold for $75,000 US via Heritage on July 21st, 2021.
It's a big number.
Big number.
Well, there you go. Maurice Rocket Richard.
Yep.
I think maybe the coolest name. Sorry, Gordie Howe fans, but I know Mr. Hockey is pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
But I love learning about him. Was there maybe like a personality thing though? I didn't know that. It seems like his stints in a leadership role lasted like days.
And I mean, he was a tough person. Like there's pictures of him in like handshake lines with blood all over him. So he wasn't going to win any lady bangs. He was a firecracker, got in fights, tough. It just seemed like nothing worked out in like the leadership roles. And that happens to some of these guys where they feel like they've been ignored. They don't get a shot. And it really hurts them. Personally, it takes a toll on them.
Well, typically the best players don't make the best coaches or leaders because they can't understand why everyone doesn't have the same standard of excellence that they did when they played.
Speaking of great coaches, this maybe I'm going off the rails, but remember when Evanson got hired by Columbus? Dean Evanson, the old Wild coach? And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Maybe you guys will get Darby Henderson. For some reason, I was like, I don't know what Darby's doing. I look up. He was hired by the Nashville Predators like a month ago. as an
Oh,
assistant
really?
coach. So good for me for not knowing anything what's going on, but good for Nashville. He's an awesome dude and an awesome coach.
From your hometown, right?
Yep.
All right. We're going to move on.
All right.
So we got a mailbag question for
Yes.
next Monday's mailbag about the Junk Wax era and maybe some of the best cards of that era. And I thought, this might be a good segment idea for our show. So see, sometimes you ask us a mailbag question and we answer it on the show. Other times it turns into a whole segment. So I have COVID brain. So sorry, whoever I would mention you, but I've forgot and I'm pretty much delirious right now. But Troy, the Junk Wax era is defined a little differently, I think, for most people. There's lots of interpretation of to what the exact years are. I like to think of it as 1998 through 93. Nice little 5-year span. How does that align with your definition of the Junk Wax
88
era?
through 93, yeah. I mean, I have no better reasoning why it should be different.
Mm-hmm. And largely, whatever your exact definition of the years are, the Junk Wax era as a whole gets pretty much written off by the hobby in all sports, really, in hockey as well. For even, for the cool cards that exist, there's this assumption that there's millions that are sitting in mom's house or in the basement today, right? And I think that's kind of the knock that most people have. Well, all that being said, we've noticed a little bit of a trend where Upper Deck is starting to reference some of these junk era cards, and the hobby seems to be digging it because most people our age, was our formative years in the hobby, right? When we were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old, etc. As an example, a roundly praised insert from last month's extending series is the Hockey Heroes acetate. Here we have Kirill Kaprizov, which is pretty much a direct reference to the Hockey Hero set from 1992. Got that one? Yeah, there we go. There's the Wayne Gretzky, right?
Yep.
And when Extended came out, the Hockey Heroes insert was fairly common, and people were like, "Wow, this is amazing," right? Because it brings back that sort of nostalgic feel that you have. And while we've been trained to brush off cards from this era, it does not mean that there are not at least a few too that are actually pretty valuable. And so that's kind of there's another Hockey Heroes, Brett Hull.
This was the 91. I just love this picture of Brett Hull. It's like, what are you doing, dude? He's like just staring at the camera.
The golden Brett there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so our goal today is we wanted to give everyone, in case you don't know, 5 actual treasures from the Junk Wax era that we all should probably have on our radar that are pretty valuable cards. So are you ready, Troy? Are you scared?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay. I'm not sweating. So
I like it because the first one is kind of interesting because I have a connection to, or I have this.
Okay. Good comment, Troy. And the first one is a 1998 OPG Brett Hull PSA 10. Now, Troy, this card last sold for $4,000 in April. Junk Wax era card, $4,000. PSA 10 pop count is just 63. 3,826 copies have been graded by PSA. That's a paltry gem rate of 1.6%. It's such a tough card to grade, Troy, that there's even more PSA 8s than 9s. So there's 1,792 PSA 8s and only 1,021 PSA 9s. So is this a card you have? Is that your connection to it?
I do. This was a card that was gifted to me by a listener at the expo.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
A very interesting card, too. It's widely assumed or thought, maybe, I shouldn't say widely because I don't know, but that maybe it was airbrushed, right? That this could have been a photo with the Calgary Flames. And then he was, of course, traded to the St. Louis Blues. And maybe the airbrush because the jersey looks very plain.
It looks very suspicious.
In the image.
There's no wrinkles. There's no gravity. There's nothing going on with it. It's just straight.
Now, Brett Hull had 741 career goals, which is 5th all time. Won the Hart Memorial Trophy in 1991. 2-time Stanley Cup champion. Yeah, so pretty big hockey legacy. Any desire to ever own like a PSA 10, like fork over the money to own one of the 63 PSA 10s? Okay.
No, I am perfectly happy and very appreciative of the one I received.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a nice card. The second card we're going to cover in our 5 hidden Junk Wax era treasures is the 1989 Topps Joe Sakic PSA 10. Now, Now, you heard me correctly. I said tops. I did not say OPG.
Yep.
This card last sold for $4,881 at the end of March. Its PSA 10 pop count, Troy, 17. 2,120 copies have been graded by PSA. That is a gem rate of 0.8%. Is that good? Is that a good gem rate?
That is very, very low. I look at this. I look at this pop count, and it probably would have been 18 if the gum wasn't fused to the one that we pulled.
Did we get tops or OPG?
I thought we got tops, didn't we?
Oh, maybe.
Maybe it was OPG. Now you said that. It probably was OPG. Never mind.
Doesn't it look like he's wearing like Lawrence Taylor's linebacker pads in this?
It's
shoulder pads.
It's
huge.
an amazing picture. It's like a model pose, an awesome jersey, but I just don't know what is going on.
So I went to GemRate and looked back as far as I could to the pop trend over time.
Yeah.
And they only go back 3 years. There has not been a new PSA 10 copy graded in more than 3 years of this card. Now, it's the pop count and the gem rate, which is exactly why the tops version of the Joe Sakic rookie is more valuable than its OPG cousin, where the OPG 10 or OPG PSA 10 last copy sold for only $426. So the OPGs were 1/10 of the value of tops. And that might be the only case in the hobby where the tops version is literally 10x more valuable than OPG. And that's because the OPG PSA 10 has a pop count of 349 out of 6,701 copies graded, a 5% gem rate. So still not very common, but you're comparing 17 PSA 10s and tops to 349 in OPG. And then, of course, Sakic is a 2-time Cup champion, Conn Smythe and Hart Trophy winner, 625 career goals, only one of 20 players all time to have 600 or more career goals. So what about this card? Would you ever pony up the $5,000 to own one of these?
No. It's a great card. I love the jersey. Awesome player. It's Nordiques, but I think what I would rather have so much other stuff with my $5,000.
Now, would you worry at all if you were one of the owners of this card and only being a PSA 10 pop of 17, but yet it's been a long time since a new one that there are more? So would you be worried about that pop count increasing, or do you thinking at this point it's such a tough grade that you're probably pretty safe?
I agree. If it hasn't been pulled or it hasn't been sent in since the boom, I think I'd probably just be like, you know what? If one comes out, it is what it is. But I'd be pretty confident probably nothing's going to surface anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, number 3. Another Brett Hull card, kind of. Well, yeah. 1991 Upper Deck Gretzky, Lemieux, and Hull 50-50 Club Auto out of $9.99. So, do you know what the 50-50 Club is, Troy? Were you aware of that?
Maurice Richard was the first 50 goals in 50 games.
Yeah. So the card commemorates Hull achieving the 50-50 Club status in the 1990 NHL season, where he had ended up with 86 goals, but scored his 50th in Game 49. He then joined Gretzky and Mario Lemieux as the only active players to accomplish the feat, and so this card commemorates that. It's a artistically drawn card.
Yeah,
pretty good, I think, renditions of the players.
Yep.
Card last sold raw for $586 back in April. Seems kind of cheap to me. We look at like a lot of Gretzky auto sales, Lemieux. Here you've got a card where they're all pretty much in their prime.
Yep.
I get it. It's on a $9.99, but you got 3 autos of the, 2 of the Mount Rushmore players and another all-time great in Hull. I kind of like too, like if you're in the market for this card, I think it's a bonus almost that there's $9.99 because that gives you a lot of room to make sure that you can find the right copy with the auto quality you're looking for, the card condition that you're happy with. And actually, this is a card I would really want in my collection someday. What do you think, Troy?
For sure. I would definitely like this one in my collection. It's one I don't go actively looking for it, but I'll tell you what, the picture we're showing, if this is the copy that sold, do you know, for $586?
$586. Yeah, I would pay that for this.
If it is, I would have jumped on this all day. This thing looks great. The copy looks fantastic. The autos look clean. Great looking card.
Now, does it bother you even in the slightest that Hull's auto goes a little bit into the border?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a little bit, but I wonder. Yeah, it does a little bit, but hey, Maybe that brought the price down a little.
All right. The next one that I found to highlight, Troy, is a 1990 OPC Wayne Gretzky box bottoms. PSA 10.
Ooh.
Are you a box bottom guy, Troy? Is that your jam?
I am not a box bottom guy. I knew about them, but man, there's another world out there for box bottoms.
You want your mind blown about how valuable box bottoms can be? Go look up the Mario Lemieux rookie year, and that's great. Are these cards? I struggle
Great
with
question
as to whether to call it a card or not.
Great question. You probably have a debate on it. I mean, I wonder, is it the same stock cardboard that the card is made from?
I think it's the stock of the box. Here, we're gonna bring Louis on. Louis, is this a card or no?
It's a card.
You think so?
Well, yeah, I guarantee, like you said, the box bottom, the thickness and stuff's going to be different, I would guess, but
okay. All right. Thanks, Levi.
Yes, that makes a good point. Different bottoms have different thickness. Okay.
Yeah. I like the color of it. I just think it's kind of cool looking from that regard. The other thing that I've learned about box bottom cards or just box bottoms is that part of the grading process in order to get the grade is you have to leave evidence of the border that it was cut from.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, if you look really closely on usually the left or the right edge, you'll see where it almost looks like a misprint. That's actually the requirement of the card. I think you see it on the left-hand side.
Yep, I didn't know that.
You have to have that on there.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit weird too. Like, obviously, if you're careful enough, I mean, you should get it centered. You should have perfect corners and edges. But what always amazes me when these cards get a 10 grade is that the surface, right? Because in theory, it's the bottom of a box. So if you're sliding the box on a shelf, that's a very abrasive kind of surface there that it should get all scratched up. I assume that when PSA 10s, you see those probably went like right from a case and cut from there where there wasn't that sort of abrasion happening. Well, Troy, the last sale of a PSA 10 was this month when it sold for $1,250 US dollars. Not bad for a junk wax era card or box bottom, whatever you want to call it. 158 of the copies of the 1990 OPC Gretzky box bottom have been graded by PSA, and the PSA 10 pop count is only 15. So.
Yeah, you got to think about, as you were reading about this, it's like, just how many of these were thrown away? Because no one, you don't keep the box, whatever, throw the box away. But some people were like, oh, maybe I'll just keep this just in case.
Or how about like us? So we're 2-year-olds on Christmas as we open boxes. We're like, ripping things and don't even have the patience to get the little stickers off. We just tear the box open. Boxes
are one of those things that are just like the bane of my existence, and not just with hockey cards. I mean, I usually throw them, but with other things, if things become more valuable later in life, like let's say retro games or Legos or stuff like that, having the box is a huge part of the value. But no one wants to keep all those stinking boxes. And so I've always in this conundrum. Do I keep this box of this thing, or do I just throw it and deal with it? It's one of those.
Do you wish Upper Deck still did box bottoms?
Box bottoms would be great for like one of those like SP Legends or one of those set, or you're going to do some of those more retro sets or modern retro players. I don't know, something like that as a throwback to that era. It'd be cool to see some box bottoms.
But then, of course, they do like parallels. Oh, I got a Golden Treasures box bottom.
So everyone's like trying to see through the case to see which bottoms are not there. Scanning them. Can you scan them in the CT scanner?
Yeah, we'll talk about that probably on Monday show. All right. And then you can't talk about treasures of the junk wax era without finally mentioning the 1990 Pro Set Stanley Cup hologram. Maybe the most iconic junk wax era hockey card would be this one. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I wonder if that's changed. I don't know. I don't know the history of this card as well as some other people, but just since we've been doing the show, we've heard so much about this card. And I think the first time it came up on, well, it was PWCC then, but Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction, and we saw the pricing, we're just like, what? Okay. And then we started learning more about it, which that's why the show, that's why I love doing this show. We learn stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm. Well, even though it's numbered out of 5,000, you could literally spend a lifetime opening boxes of 1990 Pro Set Series 1 and never hit one. Just ask Phil when he's on our show, because that's pretty much what he's done. How and why did this hologram become not only one of the most iconic cards of the Junk Wax era, maybe one of the most iconic hockey cards in the hobby? I have no idea. Like, I'm
guessing it was
it's hard to
the
explain.
first like hologram card, right? Do you think maybe this is kind of a newish technology? Because there has been, I think there's been cup cards before, just like a regular picture of the cup. But I wonder if this one being a
there was in
hologram
the
numbered.
60s and 70s.
No,
there was cup cards in our Ross trophy or whatever the trophy cards were at that point. 1990 Upper Deck had tons of holograms in it. Because I think Louis just opened a box not too long ago and had, hey, Louis, you open up a box. When you open up a box of Upper Deck, there were holograms in that too, right?
Yeah, there's like 4 or 5 of them.
Like Gretzky, there's a Gretzky hologram in there. And so I don't know if it's the fact that this one is numbered or what the reason is.
I mean, this is 90. This is early. I mean, early hologram technology, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a Stanley Cup. Who knows? These go for huge, though.
Yep.
Especially if it's in a decent grade. Raw, they currently sell for like $900 US. PSA 8s have sold for more than $5,000. And there's been, I thought this was interesting, 258 total sales of this card in the card letter sales history, which goes back more than 20 years. Not a ton for a card that's out of 5,000. And it kind of leads you to wonder how many remain in sealed boxes or how many were discarded as junk or invaluable or stuff like that didn't survive basically the junk wax era. Kind of interesting, but what I think is also sort of, I don't know if the word is ironic, if that's the right term, about this card being maybe the most valuable junk wax era card is I think you can make the argument that 1990 Pro Set is exhibit A of why the junk wax era is what it is.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I keep bringing up the set. There's some, I don't know how they opine this or research it. They still think there's more unopened like 90s junk wax than there is open boxes still. It's just like, wow. I mean, go to the expo anytime. You can get Pro Set whatever you want. People have it like crazy.
And when it's like $20, $25 US a box, like 100 times out of 100, I'll buy it.
Yes.
I'm just a sucker, right? And never hit one. Well, that's our list. 5 treasures from the junk wax era. So of these cards, Troy, which is the one you'd most want to have in your PC?
The Gretzky, Lemieux, 50-50 Club, Hull 50-50 Club.
Now, is there anything that top of mind for you that I missed or that you would have put in place?
The only thing that came to my mind is I thought this was in a Fanatics Weekly sometime. Oh, look at that. Mario. But this Mario Lemieux card, it's 93, it's Leaf, and it's just a Mario Lemieux authentic autograph. I know these can go for decent money, not like $5,000. But I remember this and thinking, wow, I didn't even know about that card really until it showed up there. And it fit the junk wax era, 93 at the tail end. But I mean, there's tons of other cards, right? Like we could have went down the refractors, the tops, the stickers, the peels, and all that stuff. But
those get out, I think, just outside the junk wax area. You start to see those in 94, 95, and 96, mainly. But I like this card too. Oli Lefsa, as I like to call him, if you look at his autograph. And very much like a Tiger Beat kind of photo of Mario Lemieux there, huh?
That autograph, man, it's been rock solid, right? It hasn't changed, I don't think. Maybe it has a little bit, but it looks similar to what they look like now.
All right. Got to make a quick mention for Gongshow partner and sponsor Slab Sharks. Of course, we are super thankful for their support of our show. The current Slab Sharks weekly eBay auction ends tonight. More than over 200 or 2,500 cards in this week's auction. Yeah, you heard me correctly. 2,500. So many absolute bangers available.
Trying to zoom in. This is not working well with my new setup.
According to Troy, there's one card of it. This is. Right.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. But yeah, the PSA 10 Bedard is in there.
Mm-hmm. Be sure to check out their amazing new website at slabsharks.com, even though it looks a lot better when you go than on Troy's figuring on his monitor right now. To see all the cards available, get those bids in. And if you just happen to be a Canadian hockey cards collector looking for an easy way to sell some of your cards for some cash, they then we'd recommend checking out Slapshark's eBay consignment services. They take the stress out of selling your cards and save you tons of time by doing all the work. They'll take professional photos, they'll list your cards, answer buyer questions, hunt down payment from winners, ship to buyers, whether they live in the US or Canada, and handle any post-sale issues. I don't like doing any of those things, Troy, so I would be happy to have Slapsharks do those for me. And why not have Slapsharks do it for you too? So head to slapsharks.com, even download their app. They got an app too. They're all about convenience for complete consignment info and to get the process started today. Hobby News.
Hobby News. That's my new thing. I'm going to be the extended news.
I think you do it better than me, and it hurts my feelings. I'm sick. Give me this, Troy. Just give it to me. Okay. Not a lot today because I'm like in and out of like sleeping most of the days, but had to mention this one right out of the gate. Our boy, Maple Grove, Minnesota's own Golden Gopher, Brock Faber, got a new deal with our Minnesota Wild. They wasted no time re-signing Brock Faber to a pretty nice contract extension. Pay him $68 million over 8 years, an average annual value of $8.5 million. Troy, it's the largest extension ever paid in Minnesota Wild franchise history. You think Kaprizov's a little bit jealous in Russia, or I don't know, is he playing soccer with Ovi, or what's Kaprizov doing about this?
I don't know. He better not be over there. He better be in Florida training with the rest of them.
I hope so. Brock finished his rookie season. He's just a rookie last year. 2023-24, second in Calder Trophy voting behind Connor Bedard. 21-year-old Faber scored 8 goals, added 39 assists for 47 points in 82 games played. Led all NHL rookies in time on ice and block shots, tied for first in assists. So it sounds like the Wild are erring on paying Faber a little bit early. And this is kind of the other reason why I wanted to bring it up on our show. And it seems like there's also maybe a trend around the league for younger, promising players to get paid and avoid a situation where they could command, like maybe in the case of Faber, a year or two for now, something more like $9.5 million or $10 million a year. It's just weird in sports just to have a guy play out his rookie year and then get that big contract extension. So what do you think about this trend?
Well, with Faber, I mean, it's like it's the Wild. We harp on him so much about Guerin and how he hasn't done any big splashes. We sit there, I'm handcuffed by Suter and Parisi's buyouts. I think those roll off this year, right? Or next year. They got to be coming off the books pretty soon. I guess I like it from that standpoint. I like Faber. It is a lot of money for a guy. It's a lot of money for 8 goals. I'll say that much. Now, he's a great defenseman, but we're banking on growth. We're banking on hype. We're banking on development. And hey, I get it. You want to lock these guys up before they get even the salary cap keeps going up. Revenues are going up. So if you wait, then this guy might be commanding, 11, like you said, 9.5, 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there. So I guess I'm okay with it. I like Faber, but it is a lot of money for a guy that still has to prove himself after only 1 year.
Well, basically, going back to right after the Gophers lost in the national championship game in the 2022-23 season, and he played the last couple regular season games for the Wild, and then that postseason, right after the first game, all the narrative around Faber was this guy played like he's a 10-year veteran in his first game. And so I think that gave a lot of confidence to Guerin, who, we'll see if he's right or not. But man, you just look at a lot of these promising young players like a Trevor Zegras or Lucas Raymond or, stuff like that, where I almost feel like that they're giving these deals more to defensemen than forwards. Have you noticed that too? Because didn't Sider
a little bit
signed to an extension already?
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. It's the trend. It's going. You got to lock up your young players. You don't want to lose them, and then GM gets harped on forever. But it is a lot of money. A lot of money
He's a pretty good local hobby chase. I actually saw a couple guys at the National ask if dealers had Brock Faber cards, and of course they didn't. And then I look and it's like, oh, the guy's got a Twins hat on or something like that. So he must be from Minnesota. Okay, let's get Baba Louie's opinion on this too, because Baba Louie is a big Wild Bobo like we are. Do you like them locking up Faber early, or does that worry you committing so much money?
No, not with this kid. He proved that he To me, he proved that he shouldn't have been a second round pick. First of all, I think he was 43, 4, no,
Okay.
5 ish. But the kid is such a great offensive defenseman. I mean, how many times did he, bring the puck up the ice, deep into the zone, make plays deep in opposing zones? And you don't see this that often. Everybody was bringing up this hype and to get on a soapbox, but with like Sider and some of these other guys, they're not doing the same things this kid is doing. And I'm glad they jumped on it now, because like you said earlier, you wait another year or two, then you're paying him more. Now he's 2 years older, and you get into that other issue like marshmallow thrower.
Oh yeah, Ryan
Suter.
All right. Thanks, Baba Louie. Well, and to Troy, it's like, gosh, you think of like these young players. So he's some like 21, 22 years old. I mean, by the time this is over, he'll still be in line for another big contract. I mean, he's going to make a lot of money.
Here's the thing though. Think about this. Cale McCarr this year, 9 million, next year, 9 million, 2 years from now, 9 million. Do you think Faber's worth 500,000 less than Cale McCarr? Yeah. That's
Or when does McCarr start squawking about his deal? But that's the thing, when the caps go up, right? People make more money. So
this is always that game I can play. It's like, well, they got to do what they got to do.
Well, Brock Faber is a 2023-24 Young Guns PSA 10 Pop 432, 31% gem rate. Last sold for $113 on July 28th. That's up about 6% in the past couple weeks. So still over $100, Brock Faber. All right, pretty short hobby news segment this week. We're going to roll right into our conversation we had yesterday with Johnny Amendola from Mintink. I ran into Johnny at the National. It's always fun to see at a place like that people you associate with different places, right? So Mintink feels so synonymous with me to the expo, and so it's like when you see Johnny in Cleveland, it's like, oh, Mintink is here too. He's another one of these guys with, Troy, just infectious energy.
Yep.
Kind of reminds me a little bit. He's different than Phil, but kind of has that same energy of Phil. And I think I'm attracted to hanging out with people that have more energy than me, especially right now, because I'm fading fast. And is long overdue, I think, to have a card shop owner on, which is kind of crazy. We've never had one on. But we finally found the time to have Johnny on the show. Love learning more about his experience building Mintink. Only took 209 episodes to have a card shop open.
I remember, it's funny because Mintink, I've actually bought stuff from them at their booth in Toronto a couple times.
Yeah, big presence.
Yeah, it was good to see him on there, or actually get him on our show and have a conversation. That was actually really, really good. High energy conversation. Of course. We go to a lot of different places.
Of course. Well, with that, enjoy our conversation with the one and certainly the only John Amendola, founder of Mintink. All right, we are pleased and honored to welcome Johnny Amendola, founder, owner, faces on the billboard, everything Mintink. Can't go anywhere in the hobby without seeing Johnny, which is great because he's got a lot of energy, a lot of positive energy, and I really enjoy that about him. And I think I'm attracted to people like that. So welcome to the Gong Show, Johnny.
Hey, thanks so much for having me, guys. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I love listening to the show, and I'm glad I bumped into you, Josh, and here we are.
We saw each other at the National, so I got to start there. How was your National experience?
It was awesome. Like I was just telling you in the green room, one day my watch died at 23,000 steps, and I don't pretend to be a guy that does 23,000 steps on a regular. So it was tough, but wore the right shoes and all that. But overall, it was great. We had a lot to accomplish. There was 4 of us that went. My partner Freddie, two of our managers, and we sponsored 2 of the trade nights, and it was hustling. A lot of meetings, a lot of content to shoot, and the guys were running around buying and selling and doing transactions. But overall, I listened to your show from the other night, and obviously the IX Center is a great venue. The last time it was there 5-6 years ago. The space has grown a tad since. So the washroom sort of food thing. But overall, I thought it was pretty good. The Wi-Fi actually worked better, I think, than Chicago. So there was lots of positives. It was great to see there was a lot more diversity in the crowd. lots of women. It was. I think there was more people than last year, which is crazy because that was through my career, I've been to so many events, and to see hundreds of thousands of people come out to a place that's a 500,000+ square feet is wild in any space. So, macro, it was phenomenal. It always is. Super humbled. You just made a couple of comments about Mintink there, and that sentiment was echoed to us in Cleveland, which was really humbling, obviously, to come from Canada to the big show in the States and actually get the recognition is phenomenal. I'm blessed with a fantastic team that allows for that opportunity to happen.
Okay, why in your mind is it important for a card shop in Toronto to have a presence at the National here in the U.S.?
Okay, so great question. So I think we're more than just a we're more than just a card shop in Toronto. We're more of an experience. I was on Jeff Wilson's podcast, or it's one of his virtual shows last year at some point, and he introduced me as someone who runs like more of an entertainment brand. So I come from a marketing background. I've been a collector my whole life. When I got back into the space in 2018, 2019, started collecting, I started to sort of venture out and look at the possibility of getting deeper into it from a business POV. And one thing led to another. A year or two later, we did it. And my focus from the beginning was the ultimate hobby experience. Consumers are looking for convenience, value, ease. And if you can give them that in a community where they feel welcome and safe and they have fun, sort of the commerce happens by osmosis. So I didn't build the brand thinking, we're going to, make money overnight. We built the brand thinking about the lifetime value of the customer and the hobby experience. So what happens when we can bring that to the US, the space, I don't have to tell you guys, especially being hockey guys in the States, like it's the reverse. 5% of your business is hockey, 95% is everything else, the opposite here. So to really get that traction you need in this space, especially like from a, like let's call it what it is, the media spotlight, the who's who, like whether it's this podcast, the next podcast, a YouTube channel, an Instagram feed, like in the world we live in today, that's, how we market and communicate to people. And I think the more positivity, the more endorsement around that, the better it just is. And I really believe that it takes like a lot of collab and a lot of strategic partnerships to grow the space. So my philosophy is if you're busy and I'm busy and they're busy and we're all busy, everybody's happy. It means we're doing a good job for collectors. So I think that the real value of us getting there, aside from I'm a hardcore collector and it's the most amazing show on the planet. We get a lot of meetings in that we otherwise wouldn't get here in Canada with the Fanatics and the Tops and PSA and Beckett and all that great stuff. Plus we get to come and meet a whole bunch of people that come here, and big contingent of Canadians actually go out to the National since it's on the East Coast, especially, right?
What did you learn about the hobby at the National?
Interesting question. So from I'll give you like sort of macro. I think what I learned from this year is I'll use the analogy: the hobby is alive. For sure, the money in the room was wild. I did, like I said earlier, the diversity, that equates to growth. The more urban culture that gets into the space, the younger kids, here in Toronto, the younger generation, like Greggy Boy. If you guys know Greggy Boy, everybody knows Greggy Boy. Greggy's a Mintink ambassador and he's a Canada representative in the National. Like he'll tell you he's Raptors first. He's a 13, 14-year-old kid, Raptors before Leafs. So when I say like that, that's the kind of culture, that younger, hip, if you will. So it's the National did a really good job this year with the, it's cool to collect. So I think that I learned that, that message, if you will, that's really, what the last half decade has been, is really starting to break through now. Like we hit the tipping point a couple years ago when everything just kind of led to that direction that's now seen the space 2 or 3 or 4x, whatever, just overall. So I think that I learned that. I also think that I learned that there's still some lift, I think, that's going to come, just overall growth over the next 18, 24 months as sort of a lot of the drama from, the corporate world unfolds. You're seeing eBay and Golden and Fanatics and PWCC. So, I mean, like I said earlier, I think that at the end of the day, there's always going to be, purists. There's going to be lovers and haters, and there's going to be people that have good things and bad things to say. But as a whole, when you're seeing the space grow like that, you're seeing it become mainstream media. When people are like, I get messages all day long from the most random people that I haven't talked to in forever. I think it's just good for everybody as long as we can maintain a healthy hobby.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we kind of touched here a little bit, but I want to maybe spend a couple minutes just so people understand who may not be familiar with Mintink. You started to describe it, but let's spend, like I said, just a couple minutes, kind of cover the bases. Tell us a little bit about, how would you describe Mintink and what are the services that you guys offer the hobby?
So, okay, so we if I'm giving you the elevator pitch, we the ultimate hobby experience, and basically we want to hold your hand through the entire journey of the hobby, however you enter it, your entire time through it, and if you're on your way out. So that means whether it's buying boxes or buying singles or on a live stream, doing a break or whatever it is. If it's sending cards in for grading, if it's having your collection appraised. We do some consignments. We do PSA. We do Golden. We have a bunch of exclusive products like Be Friends, as an example. We run we're big in live events. You're listening to me preach about healthy, community, safe fun. So we run trade nights 1 or 2 times a month, and we max out 80, 100 people. We run Kid Collectors Day every time the local school boards have a holiday. We run free events for kids, parents, kids, they love it. They come in, it's Pokemon and hockey cards and baseball cards all day. So we really service, the entire journey of the hobby from start to finish. Again, we really are chasing the lifetime value of the customer. We just built a brand new 5,000 square foot facility that's maybe about 15 minutes away from where the Toronto Sports Card Expo is. So when you guys are here in November, you definitely have to check it out. Pather Displays is just about finished. The 2,000 feet of it is a great big interactive showroom. We're going to run more events, more tournaments. So we really created what I believe is in Canada anyway, the ultimate hobby experience, and big on community. You can come here, loiter all day. Doesn't matter if you spend 10 cents or 10,000 cents. It makes no difference to me. Again, the commerce happens by osmosis when you give back to the community what they need to thrive.
Yeah, I could tell from the first time that I met you, probably a couple years ago at the expo, that you're a big picture thinker. You're a dreamer. And then I listened to your interview or watched your interview with Jeremy Lee on Sports Cards Live. And I know that a little bit about your story, that you're one of these guys that they might call like a serial entrepreneur. And you've had a number of businesses. Like every entrepreneur, you've had your ups, you've had your downs. That's part of the journey and kind of the fun when as weird as that sounds.
No,
I think
it's true. Yeah.
Probably. And so having operated a number of businesses, what makes I don't want to call you card shop because I know that you think of yourself as bigger than that, but what makes just operating a hobby business unique from an entrepreneurial standpoint?
So for me, it's lifelong dream. So it's, I started collecting 1989. So Joe Sakic, rookie here. You guys are hockey guys. That was I'm an only child, single mom. So she comes home with some hockey card packs one day. That was my first real. I didn't really get much hockey on TV and stuff, obviously. And I was hooked right away. My first job, 13 years old, was at a card store. Ironically, it was like a, confectionery magazine shop, card shop. It just came for sale, and I tried to convince, like I said, and we're looking to expand, and not quite there yet, and it's in a mall, and it, but I was like, holy, talk about full circle. But anyway, right up until like the early 2000s, mid 2000s, we were selling on eBay, and when the card market sort of petered off at that time, I jumped into this cabinet behind me is all G.I. Joes and Transformers and stuff.
Yeah.
But I collect toys, so I would still hit up auctions. And 2006-ish, I met my wife, and my mother-in-law was in town. They're from Prince Edward Island, east coast of Canada. And the next day, Kathy tells me, "Oh my gosh, my mom got up, middle of the night, whatever, and you were in her office." And she said to me, your husband was playing with toys last night, you know, and I was like, probably listening like G.I. Joes and Transformers and stuff. And, you know,
this is just like Slapshot, where they're in the hotel room playing with their cars.
Right, exactly, right? And then in 2008, 2009, I had to turn it right off, and I dove into launch my media agency. We published some newspapers and magazines. That was what I had done through the 2000s, national advertising, whatever. So that's when I sort of kept it. And then about 10 years later, you know, typical, we're all around the same demo. All of a sudden I have some cash. And the first thing I bought is, I could never, like, Peachy Premier was such a stretch at the time. Like, again, single, only child, single mom. So the first thing I went out and bought was Gretzky rookie card set. Where's my camera? There it is.
There you
I
go.
won't even grade it. It just has to stay like this because that's the way it was
Nice.
supposed to be at that time, right? So, and then that was it. So the difference between that and the other businesses, like, I can't even compare. And I've done whatever I've wanted to do for most of my life, and I've had lots of fun doing it, and wins and losses and all that. But this is legit. Like, I'm done. I'm not going to work anywhere else ever again. This is all I'll ever do. However the journey goes, however long it goes, however it happens, it's going to happen. There's just no going back. There's a place I go here in town to get lunch, and this, you know, the little Italian lady, she says to me, you know, it's no good when you fall in love with your passion too early, because you can fall out of love with it. And I said, well, I found it in midlife, so it's the best thing I ever did. And I'm surrounded with a bunch of people. Our demographic of employees are from, you know, late teens into, you know, late 40s, early 50s. We have a great mix of people and all kinds, and it's you know, it's been a lot of fun. Now it's very challenging. Like, it's talk about a red ocean, cutthroat business, but you create a blue ocean, and you just stay in your lane and don't pay attention to the noise, and you just got to trust the process.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to go there next. So the hobby's been a passion, and that's amazing. It's always you know, I think too, in a weird way, the longer you hold on to your youth, the longer you live and the happy you are to some.
I give you that for sure.
But so you decide to get into, you decide to create a hobby business. You have a vision for Mintink. What about getting into the hobby from a business perspective was way harder than you ever imagined it would be?
So supply chain, it's the craziest thing ever. Find a business where you can't just, okay, I'll pay more than you.
Yeah, I was going to go, okay.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I was going to say, the only thing I want to hear about, I want to hear about supply chain, but I just want to hear your experiences with, we've heard some Sony card shops. They're like, they've never seen a business where they can just send you stuff and debit or take money out of your account. And like,
so there's pros and cons, of course, but the way the distribution companies work and the way product is allotted, it can be very challenging, especially in Canada, because we don't get a lot of it at all. We don't get a lot of panini. We don't get a lot of tops. And we're getting less and less. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if that's what the people want and you don't get it, you have to continue to pivot and make changes and have lots of other offerings and you know, services that we provide. But, you know, there's not many businesses or industries where you really can't just, you know, for lack of a better way of describing it, capitalism. You can't just
outspend them, basically.
The bigger checkbook.
Yep.
It doesn't work like that. You know, there's the misconception of that in the space, like, you know, and it's changing constantly, but they're also reward to innovation, reward to hard work. And I think there's merit in that. So we were just promoted by Upper Deck to Air Store status, authorized internet retailer.
Nice. Good for you.
Thank you. So if you guys get it, because you're hockey card guys, it's a big deal.
I saw, because I went on your site and I could see you ship to the U.S., right? You can sell hobby boxes to the U.S.
You can't sell hobby boxes to the U.S. You'll see a bunch of other stuff there, but you can physically see them and all that. Yeah, but we couldn't even sell online or advertise pricing online. So I think it's something like 1,900 hobby shops between Canada and the U.S. that might be serviced by Upper Deck, and there's 36 maybe, if that, of these.
Yeah, we know it's a small list.
Most are in Canada, hardly any in the
there's
US.
7 or 8 in the U.S., a couple international. So, you know, whether it's a Fanatics or a Panini Direct, it works, you know, very differently. But that's been the hardest thing. Competition, all that kind of stuff, the drama, like that's in any industry you get, any space you get. The more I'm out there, my face is out there all day, every day. These guys, like, you know, I love what I do. You can't let any of that stuff bug you. So yeah, supply chain has probably been the biggest challenge. For sure.
I'm glad you brought that up because I have thought about that a lot, and more from like the whole like business ecosystem perspective. If you think of like all the okay, I'm gonna get like buzzword here, but like all like the stakeholder roles, you would think that as you're at the consumer facing end, right? And so you're at the point of the consumer. You would think that at your point in the ecosystem, that your focus should be 99% on the customer and serving the customer, and having product would be a given. But honestly, I don't know if I would ever do what you guys do, because it seems like from everyone we talk to, and we just go off of secondhand, but that it's such a dogfight to even get products on your shelves that it's weird. The focus should be at your stage on the customer, I would think.
Agreed. So it's very much you're in the trenches. So I mean, I kind of live for that. So it's
Sure.
a great fit for me. I like to grind it out. I like to I'm here in the morning. I leave at the end. I don't want to sit here and say first one in, last one out, but you get it. Like I go 7 days a week, not because I have to, but because I absolutely want to, because I love it so much. But to that point, Josh, you can't be a one-trick pony. So we have storefronts, we grade, we have live events, we do consignments, we sell tons of singles, we stream auctions, we stream singles, we stream breaks, we have e-commerce, we're on eBay, we're on Walmart, so if we just still did breaks, or if we just had a hobby shop, or if we just sold hockey, we wouldn't be able to do that. So in order to provide the ultimate hobby experience, we had to get through it all. It's been the last couple of years. It's been like, it's a grind. It's so much, the resources that it sucks up to grow. And like, I'll call it how it is. Like, people will say, when I tell them we're, just hitting 5 years, they're like, the only way to catch up 10, 20 years is you got to pump it. So, we're all in, and I love every minute of it, man.
My biggest takeaway from the national was how I always knew breaking was a big part of the hobby, but it just seemed like it was everywhere to me. And you look at, what do you think Whatnot spent on their activation? Millions and millions of it had to have been, right?
It was crazy.
It was crazy. And so, I know you guys, how important or big or is breaking for a business like yours, and do you see the growth there as well?
Okay, so it's interesting because we when I got back into collecting, again, right back on eBay, never left, all that kind of stuff. So I had had some space in my old office that I was using, whatever. When the pandemic hit, I scaled it up and whatever. So there's a video I used to pitch, and it talks in there about how I just turned the phone on one day. I brought a backpack. I had some wax that I bought from somebody. I turned the Instagram on, and we probably had maybe 500 followers, not 20,000 like now. And I sold out everything in like 2 hours. So I trademarked. I don't have it here. The next day I woke up, I wrote a paper. Boo, 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 boo. I'm going to take, this is it. Boom, head exploded. And I coined the phrase and trademarked breaks after dark. So I took a studio, I turned it into a card shop. At that time, I was a production agency. And that 5 years later, like, the content we were putting out 5 years ago was light years ahead of kind of what was happening in the space, which really helped us gain a ton of traction. And we would turn this machine on at 6 o'clock at night, and it would end at 3, 4 in the morning. As soon as that started going, I was all in on the hobby shop. It was my dream for my whole life. And a lot of people were like, you're crazy, you just, break. And I was like, no, have to do it all. This can't last. It's, there has to be other things. Sorry, guys. There has to be other things happening. And it took me a year just to get a permit. We had it was really tough for a couple of years to do anything here. So we just grinded through it all. The live kept happening. Now what's happened the last 2 years as we've really pumped the live, the ultimate experience, our brick and mortar operation has exploded.
Okay.
Our hobby, like our trade nights, 100 people will come. 3-4 dozen kids are going to show up in my showroom tomorrow and have a great time. We're blessed. We're still live about 20, 30 hours a week, and we're about to relaunch our entire programming in Q4 back to 7 days, whatever, because to your point, it is important from a revenue point of view for sure, but it's the best marketing machine you can have.
Yeah.
So, if I was to buy 20 franchises, if I was to, open up 20 stores and let's say they were franchises, you'd feel really good about your marketing dollars just knowing that machine is on 24/7 pumping, the brand out. So there is tremendous value, great way to capture new business. We pump local a lot. I want you to come pick your stuff up in the store, come in, see the place. Wow. And we're, a little bit of a destination. So you might drive an hour to come here. So you come once a month and you pick up your brakes and you pick up your grading and you come get your new releases. So that's kind of it. It really works. But yeah, it's the biggest thing. It's massive. You saw, like you said, that I walked in that room and I saw the gear was insane. Wow. I looked at Freddie and I said, great kudos to them. It was the best activation.
Oh, yeah.
Like it was Vegas. I don't mean, I got to give context because I don't mean Vegas like gambling style. That's another conversation, but the level of, to your point, the level of what it was would be like a Las Vegas convention. You're at the top of the food chain when you have an event like that in Vegas. You made it.
That video wall was a serious investment.
Crazy. Just to
awesome.
pump it out, what the coding and the work behind just pumping that out, the production and the stage they had. I was impressed. I was actually beyond impressed. I got to give it to them. That was incredible. And to your point, it's a sign, and you said it on your show the other day, that's just cards. They dominate in a few categories.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the time we live in. There's no TSC anymore, right?
Yeah. No, I totally get that. We talked a little bit about the hard stuff because that's sort of the human side of it, but I also want to cover the good stuff too. So describe your most fun days at Mintink.
Oh, wow. That's okay. So my days can be hectic. A million places at once, doing a lot of stuff. My personality is very, and I got, highs and lows like everybody else. But yeah, the funnest days are the days I get to be on the floor and interact. I love coming here on Saturdays. During the week, it's so tough. The office warehouse operation is like a full, we're Monday to Friday. You get it, business crazy, but we're an evening and weekend business. So it works out great. My partner, Freddie, my wife, Kathy, they're, our other partner, they're very involved. So they do the early shift. I come in by noon and I'm usually here. Like this was no inconvenience to be here at this time because from here, I'm going in the other room to get on the live with Maz and just have some fun. So those are my funnest days or days where I can come in. I don't have to sit at my desk. I don't have to turn my computer on. I get to go mingle with the collectors. I get to go chill with my staff, see what's up. And I love inventory, man. I love looking through slabs. I love buying wax. Like those are my funnest days. If I could buy cards all day and just chill with customers all day, but ask me how many days in a month I get to do that. And you guys get it.
What's your vision for Mintink? I sound like an interview here. What's your 5-year plan, Johnny? But
I'll give it to you. When you think of the hobby in Canada, Mintink will be synonymous with that.
Okay. So it's really around the brand. And I noticed that right away because I'm a marketing guy too. So I've spent 25 years. I've been in the ad agency world. I've done a lot of social media marketing. And when I first saw you guys at the expo and I learned that you were a shop, I thought to myself, they brand themselves different than the little kind of traditional strip mall type card shop, that there's a marketing sensibility behind this company.
It's so anytime in life I lost, it was because, I didn't, too young to learn how to check my ego. I read a book by Jim Collins, Good to Great, and it changed everything. And I've read, 10 books in the last 25 years and, for a reason. The attention span just isn't there. But I read this one. It was from a mentor. He recently passed away. And I went back to the book again. And in the book, it talks about level 5 leadership. And the only way you can reach like a pinnacle of success, and you can measure that success however you want. It's not monetary for me, that's for sure. That's a big part of it. And you have to have it to put in the sweat and tears and all that. But it's bigger than that. So level 5 says it's about, you said it, it's about the brand, not about me. There was a point in late 22 into 2023. If you go back and troll my feeds, you'll see my face was there 70% less of the time. And many faces, but more just build the brand, make it about, and now obviously I have to do what I have to do. I'm the face of the brand. I get that. And kind of have a few different angles about it now, whatever. But it really has to be, I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, I want to leave a legacy, because I don't. I'm a pretty, like, I like to think of myself, apparently if I say I'm humble, I'm not humble. So, take it with a grain of salt. But I want to, if I have that approach, God forbid something happens to me tomorrow, I get run over by a bus, whatever. There's that legacy, there's that vision that the people can carry on, this like dream I've had literally for my whole life. It's just my way to give back to my wife and I were never able to have kids. So there's probably, there was just that too. So, so really, like you said, you get the youth and all that. So we really, really drive home that experience as well. So I think that that's kind of just how, from the very beginning, it had to be. Yeah, but you're right, 100%. I mean, you see it because it's, by design, and your eyes trained for it. But I mean, it's great. Thank you. I actually take that as quite the compliment.
Okay, so what are you and your team? I always look at challenges as opportunities, right? And so I'm going to frame it in that sense. What's the biggest challenge that you guys are working on when you have your team meetings right now to improve Mintink?
So there's always, there's always just, again, I'm really, driving the ultimate customer experience is definitely something that we're always pushing. And we really kind of look at a lot of the data that says sort of where are we, where can we improve, whatever. But I challenge these guys. I stay out of a lot of the day-to-day. I try not to overstep. It goes back to sorry guys, I gotta fix that. It goes back to what I was saying earlier just a minute ago about the discipline process. If you create discipline process and you hire disciplined people. So I try to be more of a leader and coach my managers and let my managers manage the team and make the decisions or whatever. So when I'm in the meetings, it's much more, I'm having meetings with guys much more top level, new business. What are we working on? So the biggest challenges I bring to them are, I have crazy ideas and, I want to give me every reason why this can't happen. And then let's go start reverse engineering it. And then just really more, I want to cultivate and grow my people. So the biggest challenge is people. So I try to spend as much time as I can, really trying to sort of grow that. But I would say, from a day-to-day perspective, the biggest challenge is just staying in front. The hobby changes. It's crazy. Like every week there's new products, there's new this, there's new that, there's amalgamations and mergers. And so it really, trying to stay, I guess the biggest challenge is trying to stay in today, but, being able to be forward thinking enough. So I try to think that my role is to be in the front, and the road is really windy and bumpy, and I flatten the road out, and I have this kick-ass team that comes behind me, and they have all the tools they need for success.
Oh, you've got the best job in the world, being the entrepreneur, being the CEO type. You get to walk in the meeting and say, we're going to do this, and watch your team look at you like, is this guy crazy?
You know what? If you ask me one of them, I'll tell you that's like about 3 days a week around here. But you know what? It's that's what it's all about. That's what keeps it exciting. And you know what?
Of course,
it goes a lot. It goes a long way with people when you trust them with your business and you give them the ability and the authority to make the. You can't grow without people. I'll tell you something. And, whatever, I hope I don't get whatever, but it's the truth. And sometimes the truth hurts. But that's one of the biggest problems people have in this industry and every industry. Like, if you can't trust your own shadow, just stop. You can't grow if you don't trust people. And you might get burned along the way, but you probably win more than you lose. And you just have to, best advice I ever got, hire slow, fire fast. People are the catalyst of any business, negative and positive.
Well, I had a mentor that used to say you got to kiss a lot of frogs to find a prince.
Smart person. So true. So true. And when you get the good ones, recognize them, take care of them. I've made mistakes long time ago thinking, you might save a couple points here or there, cost you 4 times that by the time you learn, so that's a big part of it. The people are a big part of it. They're everything.
Okay, so in the business of Mintink, you actually get a kind of a unique, I think, vantage point for the hobby that I'm interested to learn from you a little bit here. So in your shop, you experience all day products from Upper Deck, from Topps Fanatics, from Panini, from Leaf, from all everybody that Pokemon, everyone that makes cards. With all that being said, what do you appreciate about Upper Deck?
So I'm a, again, I told you from the very beginning where the vision was always, and I really I like that Upper Deck is very much about the hobby shops. They're very much about the traditional hobby culture. They want to make sure that collectors, stay involved and stay active in the hobby. I appreciate that. I think that they do a really, really, really good job at that. That's probably my number one thing, about them. And if you guys are familiar with Upper Deck, the CDD program, before you can even sell Upper Deck, they have a certified diamond dealer program. Some of the biggest, stipulations in that are you must be open X amount of days a week for X amount of hours. So you can't just stream from mama's basement, if you will, and expect, skids of the cup to show up, which maybe isn't necessarily the same for all the other manufacturers. So I think as a guy that's been doing this his whole life, and people might not think I'm a real hobbyist because I got this crazy marketing spin because I try to build a brand and, employ a few dozen people and maybe a couple hundred one day. But that's why I love Upper Deck. That's why we took our time. That's why I believe one of the reasons, they've only added 5 air stores in 10 years. So there's a reason for that. So I think they do a really good job at looking after the grassroots.
In a constructive way, what's 1 or 2 things you wish they would change or do differently?
So I think that all manufacturers can do a better job with these guys right here. Wait, where am I? There we go.
Redemptions.
So that goes without saying. Quality control, they've come, I think we're making some great headway. I think all the manufacturers lately are starting to do a lot better there. But I think I'm just trying to think because there's definitely some stuff. Oh, okay. So this is one I'm trying to actually. I got to tell you, Upper Deck is great to work with their partners. I have full access to the team there. Jason, the president, Mike Phillips, the executive VP. Randy, Paul is marketing team, Jeff, the customer service. Like these guys, the whole team is very accessible. I think one of the things you just heard me talk about how much they respect the grassroots hobby culture. I think we got to find a little bit of a happy middle to sort of get into a little bit more. I don't want to say modern, but I'll give you a great example. And I think some of this stuff's going to start happening because this is the other thing people have to understand. You can go to Upper Deck with lots of great ideas. Somebody has to execute those ideas on both sides of the coin. So you used the word stakeholders and partners earlier. They need to have the right stakeholders and partners. So you talk about hockey breaks and doing more of that at the National. So we on your show the other day, we did an 88 box break on the Saturday night. We had Ocho Cinco was on the stage watching the Blues.
Nice.
Had I known about the hockey trade night, we could have probably done something there and pumped it up and all that, and maybe for next time, whatever. But if we're at the Expo in Toronto, especially, and 20 NHLers are signing that day, there's no reason why a couple of them shouldn't be at the trade night that night, ripping cards and signing stuff. So I think that getting more involved in that regard, and I can tell you they are. It's great to see. You're seeing more content. You're seeing more video. You're seeing more education.
That's one area that Michael Rubin, I think, has positively impacted the hobby. And actually, I don't know if you'll see this as a compliment or not. In listening to him talk about the hobby and sort of your vision on a little bit of a smaller scale, no offense, but I mean, obviously you're not a multi-billion-dollar corporation. You guys, you seem to have a very similar sort of view of the hobby being bigger than a little card shop. And what he's done a great job of in baseball, in basketball, and football is immerse the athletes into the hobby. When you have Tom Brady show up at a card shop, it makes collecting cards cool. And Upper Deck, I think, needs to use their influence on the NHL because that's just bigger than they can't dictate athletes come to certain places, but really sell the importance of that to both the NHLPA and the NHL.
I couldn't agree with you more. And again, that's another, something I've definitely, in any opportunity I've received, definitely throw that out there. And again, they're receptive. Like Upper Deck has great co-op programs. They've supported a lot of our growth around here. And, I'm pretty confident if I went out and grabbed a couple players and had Hockey Card Day and I said, hey, here's the bill that comes with it. It's all relative, whatever. But the comment about Michael Rubin and why I think, and I super humble, thank you for that. I'll let you know if I do a raise to buy Fanatics, Josh.
Yeah.
Private placement. I want to be in
it. It's kind of along the lines of what I just said. What he's done, and the reason he ruffles feathers is it's just the modernization of the space. So like I stood in front of a Blockbuster video in 2007 or 8 and I said, or 10, maybe a condo, 2010. And I said to my wife, Netflix gonna rock these guys, where's Blockbuster? New York, Toronto's like New York. A taxi cab license 10 years ago was worth $1 million. Today it's worth nothing. Wow. Uber, Airbnb. So I mean, I used let me give you this. I use this crazy analogy. I'm a huge Green Day fan. I've been a Green Day fan for 30 years.
Me too.
Love. They're in Toronto in 2 days. I'm going to miss them. It'll be my 7th time seeing them, but duty calls because I can't take a freaking day off. No, but anyway, I had to pick. I'm going to Fanatics Fest next week. I had National last week. I'm like, okay, Green Day next time. But if you're a big fan, you get it. As soon as they, went from the indie rock band, they didn't stay like the Fish or the Grateful Dead. They went mainstream. They sold out. Well, you know what? They went from having 1 million fans to 100 million fans. So it's the modernization of the space, getting with the times, and change messes with people. But at the end of the day, it's usually when change happens en masse, it's usually doesn't end up being bad at the end. And you know what? The early adopters, really catch the big fish, if you will.
All right, favorite Green Day song?
Oh my God, American Idiot. I saw live at the Phoenix in front of 400 people. But Dookie's. Dookie was like grade 9 or 10 for me. So Basket Case is always going to be like better. But the American Idiot album is amazing.
I'm a big Jesus of Suburbia guy.
Yeah, that's probably the 8 minutes. That's not all songs for 8 minutes, right? Beautiful, beautiful song. Like the whole album is amazing.
Just so you know, I'm going to Green Day and Smashing Pumpkins on August 17th at Target Field, so I get to go.
So good. That'll be and Smashing Pumpkins, like same man. Billy Corgan.
I think Rancid's there too. It's Rancid.
Yeah, we're all like the same age, so now you're bringing me back. It's like high school university all over again, right? I love it. So good.
All right, you're in the hockey epicenter of the world, probably in Toronto, Canada. Have you guys contacted the Maple Leafs? Have you tried to get them a little bit more involved in the hobby? Did they listen to you? I'm just curious about that.
So we've tried a few times. We've been very successful actually with athletes. Some former Leafs, Carlo Goliakovo, a good buddy of mine, for 3rd or 5th overall pick a bunch of years ago. We've had some Blue Jays in here, Ian Poulter, a whole bunch of great stuff. We've never really been able to formally connect. The problem is there's so much red tape in between the organizations and the players. And then ultimately you're up against like huge players. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we're a small local brand. I mean, we definitely, spend money on ads and sponsorships and influencers and all that kind of stuff. But, we got a call last year. Oh, there was that Blue Jay rookie that came out of nowhere, and he had like a week of insaneness and his cards spiked and everything else. And he was like this rookie, and they called us up and he could come this Saturday. It's 20,000. I'm like, not really going to happen for this Saturday. So, I mean, we were talking about it earlier, how people could be more involved. And, it would definitely be, if somehow, some way Upper Deck could work like what Fanatics has done. Because I'll tell you, the Fanatics thing is great. But we all know they're all getting paid for their appearances. It's part of their contracts, whether it's auto deals, deal. So I'm sure, there could be something there. At Upper Deck, I was at 2 of their events recently. They do have guests and whatever have you. But yeah, wouldn't it be amazing if somewhere in Nylander's career contract it said he's got to spend 5 hours a season at a local card shop?
Yeah.
And
But-
30 minutes on the Gong Show.
Yeah, and 30 minutes on the Gong Show. Exactly.
Hey, Johnny, Troy will show up for 17.5. Don't worry about that.
Let's get it.
I'll pay you to show up. I'll just show up.
Let's go. But yeah, no, it would be incredible when we do get the fan, like when we do get any sort of athlete or celebrity, and obviously, like I mean, the floodgates open. People, whether it's our live streams or in the brick and mortar, people are just all over it, right?
How would you describe the overall health of the hobby right now?
So my personal opinion, again, I mean, if you were at the same show I was this weekend, it was insane. And I did see a lot of money flying around. Like I know what I spent, I know what I saw. I see the traffic in my store. I see the number. I just had 2 new full-time people start today. I'm probably looking for 3 more salespeople, a B2B, but it's incredible, actually, to be honest with you. The more mainstream it gets, if I hear a baby crying in my store now, that's like a big smile on my face. Mom's in here buying Pokemon for the kids and realizes, oh my God, they're $20 cheaper than Walmart. So I find it, very, very, very good right now.
I would assume, Johnny, as a business owner, that you don't worry as much about the things you can control, but in every business and every aspect of life, there's things that happen outside of our control. And so with that being said, what do you think the biggest threat to the hobby is, and not just Mintink, or what keeps you up at night?
So that's a great question, and there's a lot of stuff. Like we had some, whether it's from a business side of you, or we unfortunately had some issues a couple of years ago with some break-ins and whatever. So there's times I'll wake up in the middle of the night, I'm checking cameras and everything else. And I was just telling you how I had the do not disturb on, so the alarm company gets to bypass the do not disturb on my phone too. So it is what it is. But really, it's like any business. There's a few factors that can change daily. This is a very capital heavy business, so cash flow is everything. When I walk in the warehouse and I see too many boxes of inventory that should be sold through, or you get something goes missing in the mail, or you get a return, it could be something big like that. But I think for the most part, the 2 things, and I would be lying if I said it was really anything else, would be it's not, oh my God, is our customers still going to walk in the store tomorrow? Our website sales going to, still that's going to happen. It's like I said, it's how many more cases of that are there? Oh my God, how are we going to get rid of that? Or is somebody in our space, whatever. But I don't lose a lot of sleep, up in the night thinking, am I going to still get that product tomorrow? Or like I said, are there going to be customers tomorrow or whatever? Like, I believe in the space. It's 125 years old. It's cyclical in nature. If you follow the data, you follow the trends. This recent lift is bigger than any other one. If it crashed in half tomorrow, it would still be about 3 times where it was in 2019. I'm a market share guy, long-term thinker. I would argue that I'm building an experience or a brand that will just say, Toys R Us doesn't exist anymore. That money's got to go somewhere, or the Walmart. So I would like to think it doesn't matter if the hobby space is worth $10 or $100 or $1,000. We'll have a big enough footprint in it to thrive. The challenge at night is are you making the right decisions? Because mistakes are expensive.
Yeah. With 2023-24 hockey, and of course the chase for Connor Bedard, we've seen more year-over-year increase in box prices than any other point in the hobby. Have the Series 2 price at 400 Canadian at some point or something like that. Has that helped card shops or hurt more?
So I mean, the Series 2 hobby was, it was insane. It was insane. So I mean, it helped everybody because 22, 23 was a little soft. We all know you're seeing boxes you bought. I was ripping ice boxes last night too. Like, right? I mean, for $60, why not? I'll go to like Walmart and Kathy will be like, my wife will be like, why are you going to Walmart to buy cards? You want a card store? I'm like, I might get 5 packs for $6. I don't know.
You got an itch, you got a scratch, right?
But anyway, so it's the it was amazing. It was really good. I know that for a lot of shops, for a lot of people, it was definitely refreshing after, that. Yeah, about, the pricing, but this is the thing that's different about Upper Deck versus Panini and Topps, and it's the way the product values out. The margin on the product, Series 2 hobby aside, isn't Panini and Topps margins. Like you're, not even close in some cases, not even close to close in some cases. So it was big from that perspective because it really allowed, and it really elevated the game a little bit. So you're not, I'm not gonna sit here and talk actual percentages, but like huge difference. Like again, like if I could get as much Panini as I could Upper Deck, it'd be a great fun, it'd be good, right? Yeah. So
well, I was just gonna say, Johnny. So I was an economics major in college, and kind of a terrible one. I'm glad I didn't go into that because I still have a hard time wrapping my head around like big picture economic theory. But there's a part of me, and I'm going to try to put this in macroeconomics. Put this in sort of more layman's terms. Is what I've wondered though is that what I feel like we've seen big prices on specific 2023-24 products, OPG paper, Series 2. We're going to have SPA is going to be at a big price tag.
Crazy.
And then the flip side of that, as you mentioned, 2022-23 was a little bit weaker. We've seen steep discounts there. And part of me wonders if, for instance, and I'll try to speak in Canadian dollar terms to the best of my ability, or I'm put in percentages. If Series 2 was a 50% increase instead of a 300% increase over last year, would that have evened everything out a little bit better? It's kind of like the sort of total available money in the hobby theory, that if so much of it is going to Series 2 hobby boxes, there's just not enough interest or not enough money left for 2022 credentials, which we saw. I mean, you can't give away that product.
So I think that one thing you can't underestimate, and you saw it in the US like crazy, the amount of new money that came for Series 2. There's also a lot of, believe it or not, closet collectors that, when it's a Matthews, I was talking to a couple people that I knew for half my life that I haven't spoken with since I started Mintink, that were like calling me. And I was like, oh, you buy hockey cards? They're like, well, I haven't bought since Matthews here, but yeah, every time that, so they bought Crosby, Ovi, over the years, whatever. So I think that the Series 2's, the OPG paper was crazy. And SPA is going to be nutty, I think. Yeah. But everything else has been, like I said, I think everything else, it just more on par with the other stuff, but it's still like hockey's still the most affordable. But far and away, and it's starting to some of the stuff is really starting to value out more and more and more too, which is great. Upper Deck starting to really grind it out and dial into the new thing for these manufacturers now is chasing exclusive autograph contracts, and you're seeing that. So even like we talked earlier about that too, like modernization, that's a different. I saw the other day Panini's just signed. Oh my God! Some huge basketball player yesterday just signed. SGA is about to sign exclusively with Panini. So you're going to start seeing the next couple of years are going to be interesting in some of these sports where is there going to be an auto of the top guy or isn't there going to be an auto? But I definitely think I don't know the answer to your question, honestly, because the new money, I didn't see that for anything else. You're going to see it again for SPA, but they print so much less of it. So I'm not, those same people that chase the Young Gun card and that'll chase the Future Watch aren't coming in here buying Allure and Synergy. Now the collectors, and I think from them, if Synergy's $20 more than it was last year, because really that's all it is. It's like 145 CAD now, it's 165, and they get a value out. Like I opened a box of Extended the other day, and I hit 2 Bedards in the box, and one of them was just like the retro Young Gun. I sold it for like $85 on eBay last night. But, if it's a $200 box, and I hit that and a Fantilli or whoever, not too bad. So I think what it did was it actually allowed for and gave a lot more credibility to Upper Deck and to Hockey Cards from a value prop point of view when comparing to the other major manufacturers.
Are you surprised the Bedard Alpers Gold 101 has not been resurfaced yet?
It's like, I mean, you so it's funny because if the pundits will say that if it was a basketball release, it would have been hit on the first day, right? I think that so one of the things I was going to talk to you guys about before when you're done is was with respect to the collectors. Phil was talking in your last episode in his robe about he wants shops and people to do more for the collectors. You want to break, fine, break, but what are you doing for the collectors? And I think that with hockey, you get that a lot more. Just like I think if you go to baseball, true baseball collectors, they're actually collectors. So like the amount of people I know that will have binders of every SPA year and every Young Gun set because that's what they collect. They still build sets. They still kind of do all that. I think that we can't underestimate that. So I think there's a lot of product sitting in closets not open. I mean, look at what a case of Crosby or even McDavid or Matthews flagship. Like a Matthews is at $800 or $900 a box. Makar maybe $1,000. Mm-hmm. The last time I had a case of Cal Makar wax, I think we sold it out at $699. Like Makar was probably $85 wholesale when he came out.
Yeah.
Right? Was $118 box on this day. So if you look at, we talk about 22, 23. Well, now you're starting to see, and I see the data, all of a sudden, wait a minute, people are buying this again. Well, guess what? Slavkovsky goes off, Wyatt Johnson goes off. So now what happens next year if Matty Beniers and Shane Wright and Owen Power have do a Laffy and, the Sports Science says these guys hit at 270 games. Yeah. The flagship and SPA is so predicated off of the rookie class, just like a market, just like the S&P. So that's what I think.
Did you send Dave and Adams like a thank you card for putting out the bounty? Because that had to help you.
So it's funny because we were Freddie's joking around. He's like, let's put a bounty out for 100,000 the next day. So much for that. It's great. Listen, it's great PR. And I mean, at the end of the day, they've done it a few other times. And, again, I go Post Malone paid a $2 million bounty for a
Magic the Gathering. The one ring card.
So I go back to it's marketing dollars for Dave and Adams and insurance policy, and they're the biggest seller in the planet, right?
Yeah.
Single seller. So it's you're a marketer. I'm a marketer. Hype is hype. I get it, and I can really understand why it's not for everybody. But at the end of the day, we want new people coming in the hobby. If the hobby is to grow, and we have to let the people come in the space and figure it out on their own. It's up to people like you, and it's up to people like me to offer them some guidance and give them unbiased opinion. If you're in Toronto, great, I'd love it if you come here. But if it's too far, please just go somewhere else. I hope it's a great shop. I just want to know you're in a store. I want to know you're engaging in the hobby because it's big. It's big picture for me. So I think that's where that thought gets remissed with people.
Wow, that's a lot of good information. I do want to, and I always forget this. I'm super proud of myself because I do our guests dirty. It's where can people find more information about Mintink? Or how do people get more involved? It's we take an hour of your time. It's we'll see ya.
I made you pause twice too. I'm sorry. You guys have been great. So I'm gonna no watch is my new rule. I just started wearing a watch again last week, probably for the first time in 3 years, but I wanted to count my steps. But we have a few stores in Toronto. We have a great big experience center in Vaughan, which is 15 minutes from the Toronto Sports Card Expo. Mintink.ca. We ship worldwide. We're also loaded up on eBay, and we're live streaming on Instagram and whatnot. TikTok 5-7 days a week. You can find us at the Toronto Sports Card Expo, and that's it.
Awesome. Hey, well, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate getting to know you a little bit better. It's awesome. Your first local card shop, first hobby shop on our show. And
I'm so humbled about that. Hey, can I give away something for your viewers? Wait,
yeah.
I got a box of Clear Cut. You guys decide however you want to give it away, and then just if you want to do something, whatever, message me, and I'll ship it out to the winner.
Appreciate that. Yeah, we'll figure that out. And
Yeah.
thank you so much, Johnny. And can't wait to talk to you again soon.
Thanks for having me, guys. You guys are great.
All right, we're back. Johnny delivered. Like I think we knew he would. Had some great insight, and yeah, it's just a different vantage point of the hobby that you and I don't have. And what I really appreciate about him is that he's such a visionary, and he has such a big vision, and thinks of not Mintink as just more than a card shop. And it seems like that's probably the trend that successful hobby brands will have moving forward. But what were your key takeaways, Troy?
I liked hearing when you asked some of the stuff about what he likes, what companies are doing in the space. Obviously, Upper Deck being the licensed hockey card producer, he had his thoughts on that. I also like that he brought, like, we didn't prod him on this, but he brought up the whole family aspect, which I think is a huge thing, and how to keep younger people into the hobby, because that's the only way you grow. Because if you don't, then old people just die off, and then you're stuck. And I loved hearing that. I loved hearing about his shop when he's to talk about like babies crying. That's actually a good thing. That means moms, dads bringing their kids in, looking for cards. I like it's kind of interesting talking about the Pokemon and along with the sports cards. So he had a lot of good insights, a lot of energy. I loved it at the end of the interview. You could hear they were probably breaking. You can hear in the background, like you can hear it if you listen to it. You can hear him getting excited. So that was fun. It was kind of like a bonus kind of see the real how the sausage is made, right?
Yeah, a lot of energy in that place. I would assume that you got to match his energy if you want to work there. So thank you again, John. And for more information on Mintink, you go to mintink.ca. New product releases. Well, we just had a lure come out, and next week, Troy, the next hockey release for 2023-24 SPX will hit shelves at your local neighborhood card shop. More Bedard rookies, thank God. That's exactly what the hobby needs, of course.
Well, okay. So before we start this, if I remembering right, that is SPX the one that we call the techie set? Is this the one they talk about tech a lot? I can't remember.
As far as SPX goes, it's the one that has I think it's most iconic with like the holograms from the 90s. You know, the die cut holograms that would have like the Gretzky auto, that sort of thing.
Okay.
I've always been kind of on the fence regarding SPX. I would come maybe ambivalent about it, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll go through the designs and the checklist, and maybe that will change my mind this year. Are you a fan typically, or do you feel similar to how I do?
I was trying to remember. I don't know if you'd probably know better than I do. I don't think I've ever bought a box of SPX. If I have, it's only been one. that's what I'll say.
Open on the show for our videos, probably.
Yeah.
But I don't even remember it. Well, first off, like we do now at every one of these, we got to start off with our 2023-24 SPX cover athlete, Troy's guy, Mitchy Marner.
Mitchy Marner.
It's like Upper Deck did this just so you could take a pot shot at Marner in our new product release segment. So we're going to turn it over to you, Troy. Go ahead and nail Mitch Marner.
Yeah, one time I should have it always ready up, always up the video of players skating by him. Was it overtime? I don't know if it was overtime or whatever. But
Pasta, right?
Yeah, just as Mitch Marner kind of just looks over and it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. I don't know. Should I go chase? Nah, I ain't gonna go chase him.
Be nice, Troy. Be nice. Enough of your funny stuff. All right, let's get into SPX. So the base set.
Okay.
There's 200 cards in the 2023-24 SPX base set.
I know where this is going.
100 are vets and 100 are rookies. So that means there's going to be a fair amount of owl rookies. You know who? Right. As we've talked about before, it varies between sets. Some sets will have 100 rookies. Some sets will have 50. I get very excited when I see a set that has 50 rookies because it reduces the number of owls that you're going to get in your packs there. All base vets and rookies are numbered starting at 290 out of 299. So here's Elias Pettersson if you're watching on YouTube. Then, of course, as you'd expect in any Upper Deck set with the base, you have parallels. There's Purple Parallax out of 149. That's one of the
shiny.
Yeah. It's kind of fever dreamish, huh, Trey?
Definitely.
What is a parallax? Any idea?
Parallel universe, maybe? That's why the circles? Is that kind of the
I don't know.
universe? I don't know. don't. We should have a whole show just us trying to figure out names.
Now, if you're watching on YouTube for Purple Parallax, they've featured Leo Carlson. Do you think that Upper Deck put him in the gallery just to let everybody know that they didn't forget about him this time?
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Yeah, I think so. I think they feel bad, so they're gonna double up on the amount of Leo Carlson. Because
There's a radiant. Oh.
This ain't the first time this isn't the only time you're gonna see him in this preview.
Oh yeah. Then there's a Radiance parallel out of 100.
Oh,
Grand
God.
Finale out of 50.
We got a breaking news from Louis. Parallax. The effect whereby the position or direction of an object appears to differ when viewed from different positions.
What
There you
did you just say?
go.
Wait, can you say that again? Because I got none of that.
The effect whereby the position or direction of an object appears to differ when viewed from different positions. Quantum mechanics. I don't know. That's what I'm going to go with.
I have COVID brain. That's way too complicated. Grand Finale, Troy, is out of 50.
Is this the
Brother
Grand Finale
Luke.
picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Brother Luke Hughes is the example here.
Yeah.
This is one of the more well-known SPX parallels. I'm guessing this looks way better in hand, too. This is probably a really tough card to take a photo of.
Yeah, I bet. A lot of circles.
Then there's an NHL Shield die cut out of 25 parallel. I think these look pretty cool. Sidney Crosby's pictured here. So you get the shield in the background. I think I might want one of these. Actually.
Reminds me of Allure, right? Allure had this too, the shields in the background on one of the parallels. I don't know if it was in this current release, but 4 years ago they had something kind of similar to this. No, is it? Yeah, it was Allure.
Yeah. There's also auto and memorabilia parallels as well. There's an auto parallel that's not numbered, which is our next example here. So, looks like a cool sticker autos though. Some of the autos too on the checklist are SP and a few super short print. McDavid, Draisaitl, Jonathan Marchessault for some reason, Connor Bedard, Luke Hughes, Austin Matthews, Luke Evangelista, and Yaroslav Askarov are super short prints. I actually like Jonathan Marchessault, but I just don't see him as like a SSP type player.
Yeah. What about Askarov?
Yeah, well,
he's kind of. I mean, you got Uzi Saros. Is he no good?
Well, they just signed Saros like an 8-year deal too.
Yeah.
Askarov was Upper Deck. You could tell was really excited about him when they made all these checklists. There's an auto patch parallel. No, these are out of either 49, 25, 15, or 5. We have an example from the Upper Deck gallery. Adam Fantilli, nice patch out of 25. Picture on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Again, though, sticker auto.
Yeah.
But great patch out. Cool looking card.
I got to give credit too. Look at all the blended in Upper Deck logos. That's good work
SPX
there.
logo.
We're getting there. Yeah. We're getting there.
There's an auto premium memorabilia patch. So these are 101s. There's an OV picture there. What do you think that is? That's not a patch. It's got to be part of his equipment, right? Like his glove, maybe.
It's leather.
Something?
It's glove would be my best bet. It's blue and then looks like leather with some white stitching. So it's either the glove or maybe the breezer somewhere, but leather I don't think would be on the breezer. So, but I don't think, man, it does look like leather or pleather, I guess. Yeah, it's great. Someone tell us.
Then there's additional rookie memorabilia cards and auto cards. There's a rookie auto jersey, which is out of 375, 175, or 75. I think these are kind of like cut autos too, because I have a Stützle rookie from 2020. Doesn't that look like a cut auto to you a little bit?
Kind of does. It looks like it's like signed on a note card. They just threw it in there, but looks clean. And it's our boy, Logan Cooley. There's
2003 retro rookie patch autos like this Bedard out of 5. I think this is a nice looking card.
I
kind of a lot going on, but it works.
I gotta, for someone like I've been on patch shows being like, get away from the retro, blah blah blah. Every time some retro stuff comes up, I'm like, I like this one. So I kind of do dig this one.
2023-24 SPX also includes those classic holograph autos. So there's a Jack Eichel out of 25. This is the card I was referencing.
Yeah.
More. I like how they put the holographs logo there. To me, though, a sticker auto on this card is like, oh, it just doesn't work. These shouldn't be autoed if it has to be sticker.
Yeah, I wish it could be autoed. I do dig these. I think they look pretty cool in hand.
And even when they were hard signed, like in the 90s, they looked weird too. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Not every card has to have an auto, right? Can we all agree
Yeah.
on that or no?
I don't know.
There's
Not in
red.
today's game. It seems
Yeah.
like we need autos on everything.
There's a red, gold, and blue parallels for these for both vets and rookies. The blues are 101. Now, I noticed in SPX here that they're using the color blue for a lot of 101s, and that's an interesting choice. We don't see that. Like you're
No.
like black or gold, right? For 101.
Well, purple was stature purple.
Yeah.
I've always wondered that. Do you think we need to have a meeting, like a hobby conference, and we got to figure out just one color is 101s and we all go with it? Or is that maybe takes away creativity? I
The
guess
Great Hobby Color Convention.
Yeah. Well, first, our thing is only, right? We got to get rid of like having 5 different 101s, right? Or 7 different 101s in a set.
Yeah.
That's our first thing. And then next we'll land on the color. How about that?
Well, we got to start with your set stature there because that's the
I know. Yeah.
biggest offender of that.
Guilty as charged.
Okay, finite rookies. We'll start to get into the inserts now. Is the next
hold on.
subset we'll
Sorry.
review.
There you go.
50 rookies on the checklist. Base are numbered out of 799, gold out of 399, platinum out of 99, silver spectrum out of 49, gold spectrum out of 25. This is what's shown on YouTube right now. Green spectrum out of 10 and platinum spectrum 101. I don't like having gold and then gold spectrum because I think that creates confusion.
This is really
Or you
picky,
got to
but I always
name it.
think-
If you're going to do that, you have to have the name on the back, right?
Well, I wish, like, to me, gold is better than green. So it should have less than green, but I get it. Different choices. Could be a history thing. I don't know. But I feel like sometimes golds are getting like kind of shoved up in like the hundreds, out of hundreds and out of 50 range. And like, seismic golds, right?
Well, seismic gold's out of 50, but probably the best example that I could think of what you're talking about would be 2021 Flare Ultra in the platinum medallions where the golds are out of 200. And they're a really nice looking card. And yeah, it's like, should that be out of 200 or less? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Another insert, Troy, is Force.
Force. Die cut. All right.
Die cut insert features 4 players on each card. This is the one on the checklist that has the rookies. So it's Connor Bedard, Leo Carlson, Logan Cooley, and Luke Hughes.
Oh, yeah.
There's a red out of 30 parallel, gold out of 10, and blue 101. Now there's also a goalie card, Troy, with 4 goalies. Linus
There you
Almar,
go.
Andrei Vasilevsky, Igor Shesterkin, and Ilya Sorokin. Kind of a cool one.
Good choices.
I was trying to figure out like what's the connection there. Allmark's not Russian; he's Swedish or something like that, right? Or Finnish?
Yeah, he's I think Scandinavian. We'll go Scandinavian. I don't know exactly, but like Vasi, obviously Russian. Shesterkin Russian. Is Sorokin? What's he? Is he Russian?
He's Russian.
Russian.
Yeah, because that was the whole like sticker auto gate thing with the cup. Remember?
That's right, with our boy Kaprizov.
Kaprizov. All right, we're gonna move on. The next insert is Hardwired for Success. 15 players on the checklist. Features stars from each team. I really like the design of this one. This one kind of speaks to me a little bit. I like the bright green that comes out of it.
You like the circuit of the computer circuit board? I kind of dig that.
Now,
Hardwired, I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, I guess. Base are out of 99, red out of 65, gold out of 35. This would be gold, so it must be the foiling on it that is the sort of the parallel
that's
color.
definitely gold, the foiling.
And then blue 101. Radiance FX, Troy, is another SPX, what I would call mainstay set. This is the one subset where there's legends on the checklist. That's kind of cool. Includes all the big names, right? So you got on the legends, you got Gretzky, Lemieux, Troy's guy, Eric Lindros, right, is one of them. Also some vets and rookies too. The base Radiance FX is out of 949. The blue, which we're pictured here, Cale Makar, is out of 299. There's a gold out of 99, a green out of 10, which we have an example from the Upper Deck Gallery. Blues legend Wayne Gretzky in all his turtleneck era glory.
Yeah. Really, I really dig this picture. The colors really pop. I like that.
Yeah. Next one is the Shadow Box. It's Starscape this time. I don't remember it having that sort of extra element of Starscape on it. Are you a fan of Shadow Boxes in general? Do you like those cards?
So, yeah, I have Mike Bossy Shadow Box that I like.
Hmm.
These are ones I have to see in person, though. They're too hard to figure out what's going on with the picture.
Checklist includes both vets and rookies. Base are not numbered. There's a silver spectrum out of 99, a gold spectrum out of 10. So there you go. I think this auto insert looks pretty nice. It's called X Over. Checklist features top stars and rookies. Base are numbered pretty low out of 15.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a red out of 10, gold out of 5, and blue 101. So this is a Matty Beniers.
Yeah, and I don't know, like you don't really see the auto at the very, very bottom a lot of the times.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around if I like that or not.
Kind of a cool design to it, though.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to get into the UD Black, which is included in the SPX set. So UD Black was once an independent set, and then kind of like Exquisite and other sets sort of has made its way into Black might also be in some other sets as well. I'm kind of COVID brain here, but there's lustrous rookie autos. Is lustrous a word, or did Updike make that up? Do you think?
I'm pretty sure it's a word.
We got our boy Brock Faber. We talked about love.
Yep.
Any like silver or gold autos on Black. In this case, it's a silver. Base are out of 299, 199, or 99. There's a gold parallel out of 25, emerald 101. So now the emerald for this is green. Also, lustrous rookie patch autos. Base out of either 125 or 75. Spectrum parallel 101. And then there's also a cool sort of clarity variant out of 15. Now, the auto is a little bit harder to see on this one. I think it's kind of a cool effect. I really like these cards. And I think in hand, this probably is better too. It's a Dustin Wolf, really sweet Calgary patch that we're looking at. And then you added, I think, the Bedard, right?
This is the Bedard. I don't know if this is the clarity variant, but it's the same numbering. So I thought, is it? Yeah, and I just like here. We've always said we can't wait for Bedard. He's gonna have the best patches ever. Well, here's probably 7 colors, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 7.
Well, but that's about like 40 breaks, right? That's
and a bunch of breaks. Yes. Yeah.
Finally, there's a number of Obsidian cards from UD Black as well in SPX. Both patches, patch autos. This Pasternak gold parallel out of 10. This is a pretty cool card.
Yeah, this looks nice. This looks actually really, really nice.
Kind of color matches the Bruins jersey too. So I think that looks pretty cool. Some people really like the Pride of Nation cards too. There's both rookies and vets on the checklist. Base are out of 99 or out of 25. So there's again, but they're really going to the well with Luke Hughes in the gallery here.
Yep.
Only other thing on the checklist is there are updates again from 2021-22 and 2022-23. So be on the lookout for that. Okay, Troy. So overall thoughts, just based on the checklist and the designs, what do you think?
It's interesting to me. Nothing is like, there's a couple cards that look kind of interesting. I'm not feeling it because I already know what the pre-sale pricing is. Yeah. At that price, I don't think this is a set for me. So,
do you want to take a guess how many unique Connor Bedard cards are in 2023-24 SPX?
Well, last time I was so far over, it was embarrassing. So I'll go. I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna go 35.
You're under. 49 unique Connor Bedard rookie or rookie year, however you want to term it. So now into a little bit of the configuration. 2023-24 SPX is a 1-pack box, contains 5 cards. So you get 1 auto and then 4 memorabilia and or non-auto cards in each box. Pre-sales in the US, right? Okay, go ahead.
So you do get an auto. Maybe we'll get I don't know. We'll see. I gotta think about this some more. Stick around.
Well, we'll come back to it after we go over pre-sales.
Okay.
Pre-sales in the US right now, David Adams are $180 US. Now, for reference, Troy, last year, 2022-23 SPX was released at $125 US. That's a 44% increase. That's pretty steep.
Yeah.
in my
Bedard, I
opinion.
mean, look, we had the mailbag question, right? Bedard tax, how it's
Yeah.
going to keep going.
Oh, and by the way, today you can get 2022 23 SPX on David Adams as well for $90. So this is double that price right there.
Yeah.
Pre-sales in Canada, Klusanchara, 230 Canadian. That's equivalent to 166 US dollars. Once again, a little bit better deal in Canada. Okay, so now let's factor in the price and the box configuration. And what do you think now?
I don't think I'm a box buyer. If anything, I'm looking for singles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't at that price. I'm not that interested in it. It doesn't do a lot for me.
To me, it's a sticker auto thing. There's a certain price point where I'm okay with sticker autos, and then you get up to close to $200 a box, and it's like, I want it hard signed.
Well, yeah, and I start thinking. I mean, the game I play, it's like, and everyone probably does. It's like, what else can I buy with that 200 or 180? We'll say David Adams, right? US. And actually, you'll see my personal pickups. There's stuff that you can buy that I would rather do from a wax perspective.
Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with you, where I would think that there's singles that I'm really going to like from this set, and I'll probably just wait and buy those. So, Baba Louie, do you got an opinion on SPX? For your fancy, how does it the set look to you?
I don't mind the cards, but I'm not paying that much for a box and pulling a sticker auto.
Yeah. Okay. So we're pretty much all in agreement.
Yep.
Cool. Thanks, Louis. Okay. Time for our Fanatics Collect Weekly Preview. First, we got to...
ePack. ePack. Oh,
sorry,
gosh.
sorry. ePack. We do have one more story that I remember. I'm sweating again.
COVID fuck. Hey, we got you. We got you.
Thanks, man. Thanks, bro. You got you, blue. 2022-23 Parkhurst Champions, Troy, is live on ePack.
It is.
Right? Starting yesterday, July 31st. Looks like $135 US for a box. I think now you can find physical boxes for way less than $100.
Yep.
So that's kind of that whole sort of ePack price thing, which Upper Deck is in a total pickle with that. I understand it.
Yes.
Again, the vice versa would be horrible, right? For them to undercut their card shops. But
you want to undercut the card shops, and now no one's going to a card shop, and that you don't want that, especially for hockey. We don't want that. There
is, though, some interesting achievement cards that you can get. I'm not going to go through all of them, just a couple that stood out to me.
Yeah.
So, like, a lot of the achievements are around the very hard to pull All-Star Legend cards, which are kind of cool. There's, like, as an example, the first 350 people that redeem a complete base set will get a Gordie Howe All-Star Legends. If you do the silver parallels, all 350, you'll get Guy Lafleur All-Star Legends card. Pictured right now, there's also some Legends All-Star Autos on the achievement checklist. These are pretty cool cards. Are these hard signed as well? Do they look like
that's a great question. Parkhurst does have hard signed autos. I cannot tell you from this, though.
I would bet.
If we're going with what the set has done, everything I think has been on card. There might, I can't remember if there's like some random that's a sticker, but yeah.
And you can check out all the achievements on the ePack website, but you have any thoughts that you want to add about Parkhurst Champions hitting ePack?
So it's kind of interesting. I mean, by Parkhurst Champions hitting ePack, it actually, a couple of things happened today. One, went to ComC and just kind of refreshed. Now I'm not out looking to buy a bunch of stuff, but I just like to see what comes out. And we know Phil was out there looking for patch autos like crazy. And so that was one thing I did today, kind of seeing what was out there. But the second thing what this release did, it made me go, I wonder how much a physical box is from a shop. And then I made a purchase because I found a really good deal. And I'll let you know what I did in pickups. But it's funny how that works. It's like I knew it was coming out, but it came out immediately. I was like, well, let me go see what what I used one of my favorite sites, Waxstat. They don't sponsor us, but you can compare prices at a bunch of stuff, a bunch of shops, and they're just like, found a good deal. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna buy it.
That's Alan, right? Is his name? I ran
Yep.
into him at the National, and so we got to
Yeah.
have him on a show.
Great
Somebody
site.
else.
It's one of those very useful sites if you want to price shop boxes, cases, whatever at various internet retailers
Nice.
in the US. I don't think they do a lot of I don't think they has Canada on there yet.
All right, now it's time to
Now.
make a quick mention for Gongshow partner and sponsor Slap Sharks. Oh, this is going out the rails really fast. Okay, Fanatics Collect.
Yes.
They are our partner and sponsor, and of course, we very much appreciate them and their support of our show. Now, if you haven't checked out the all-new Fanatics Collect website, you need to go to fanaticscollect.com. What you'll find is it's super fast, which wasn't always the case before. It's easier to find the cards you're looking for, sort through. There's also an all-new buy now marketplace where you can find some great deals, more than 4,200 hockey cards. Try the August premiere auction just a week away. Can't wait for that. But it's Thursday. It's our Thursday show where we typically highlight our favorites from the current Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction, and today is no different. We're going to do that. We've each picked out our faves, starting on the vintage side. I had to go, well, I cheated. I'm sick. I always cheat on this, but I had to go with this card, a 1992 Upper Deck buyback Wayne Gretzky auto out of 500. Now it's raw, so it goes through the NBA authentication program through Fanatics Collect. So, yeah, of course, I'm shoehorning another early 90s junk wax era vintage card. I get it. But honestly, there was a little bit less vintage in this week's Fanatics Collect auction, and I kind of wanted to figure out where this card was from. I'm going to fast forward to the end real quick. I didn't, but we'll get to that in a second. So, of course, being a young collector from the early 90s, I love when Upper Deck does these kind of buybacks, creates a new spin on a card that I recognize from my childhood, grew up collecting. I also like that it's an auto of one of Gretzky's playing day cards, which I always think is cool. Out of 500 means you know the print run, but yet it's not crazy big either. The card is, there's a lot of there's a million Gretzky cards back in the day, and this one was a photo shoot, but it was on ice. He's kind of taking a knee, very staged. Looks like they have like dramatic lighting around the neck, his background, or it's like a ghost from Ghostbusters. I don't know what's going on back there. In his Kings uniform, as of course you'd expect from a 1992 card. I don't know if I'm being picky, maybe if it was an action shot, it would be a little bit better, but I still think it's pretty cool. So like I said, I wanted to know, Troy, where did this card come from? And honestly, I still don't know. And part of the reason is, and this had me all tied up in knots earlier today, is I can find one sale, one of this card on either Terapeak or Card Ladder.
Wow.
How is that possible for a card out of 500? So there's got to be more to the story. Like, then I started to wonder, well, did Upper Deck have a buyback program and they took a number of 90s Gretzky cards and did all those out of 500? Or somebody's got to tell me the story here, because I'm just confused. Now, the one sale I did find was on Card Ladder sales history from May of this year for $450 US. So shocking to no one. It's not breaking news, but of course, I'm very confused. Does that surprise you that there can only be one? That's almost impossible.
Yes, it does. It's
and I did oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, did someone just have all 500 and now they're slowly releasing them to the wild, or what?
And not to brag, but after 2 years of doing this show, I think we've both gotten pretty decent at searching for cards.
Yeah.
Because we do it all day, every day. And so I searched every which way from Sunday to try to find more of these cards and kept getting nothing. So I don't know. You got a current bid?
$155 US.
Okay, you got the next vintage one, and you actually picked a vintage card. So congratulations, you're better than me.
I did. Here we are. Gotta zoom in, getting all messed up. I did a 1978 Topps Hockey Dave Schultz, number 225, PSA 10. PSA Pop, 1 of 13, Josh. So I know it's been a while since we've shown some love to the enforcers, and I saw this card and I'm like, I got to do this one. So Dave Schultz, definitely one of the better known enforcers of the 70s. And if we remember right, in our history of hockey in the 70s, very tough physical style of play, maybe some goon stuff going on. Who knows? We had at the end of the decade, the famous incident, Terry O'Reilly climbed the plexiglass, fought the fans at Madison Square Garden. Mike Milbury jumps up there, grabs a fan's shoe, and starts beating him with it. Just fantastic hockey at its finest. And it's amazing. When I was, I've read that story enough and seen the video. I think one of them got 8-game suspension. The other got 6-game suspension. If that happened today, they'd be lifetime banned probably for doing that. So it's pretty wild just how things have changed. So our boy, Dave Schultz, let's look at him briefly. Nicknamed the Hammer. And he was a member of the Broad Street Bullies. Go Flyer fans. Josh, he recorded a hit song in Philadelphia called The Penalty Box in the mid-'70s.
I'm sure it's fantastic.
I know we need more hockey players to record music, please. 2-time Stanley Cup champion. Played 8 seasons in the NHL with stops in Philly, LA, Pittsburgh, and Buffalo. For his career, 79 goals, 121 assists, 200 points, 535 games played. Josh, career penalty minutes, 2,292 in only 9 seasons. Got lots of penalties. Per season average of 255 penalty minutes a year or 4.3 penalty minutes per game. I always look at that. You're starting the game. You're going to be on the penalty kill twice at least with this guy out there.
With how good like power plays are, you couldn't play the NHL.
That's why.
Get 4.5 minutes a game at this point, right?
No, you would no way. They eat you up now. He is the career leader. The career leader in penalty minutes is Dave Tiger Williams, who had 3,971 over 14 seasons. Now, while that's for a career, our boy Dave Schultz holds the NHL season record for most penalty minutes in a season with 472 penalty minutes during the 74-75 season. That is nuts. So let's assume, I didn't do the averages or something, but let's say just 80 games. I don't know how much they played back then. I mean, it's almost a major every game. That's more than a major every game. So pretty cool, but pretty interesting. Josh, our boy, had a rule named after him, the Schultz rule. Yep. After injuring his wrist in a fight, Schultz once put boxing wraps on his hands for protection. Schultz had several fights in ensuing games while wearing the wraps. Soon after, other enforcers in the NHL and the WHA started wearing similar hand protection. Soon after this trick became popular, both the WHA and the NHL passed what became known as the Schultz rule, thus banning the boxing wraps. Now, I'm not a boxer. I have no clue what boxing wraps do. To me, they wouldn't help. Like, they don't make your fists like harder, do they? I just figured it was more.
Well, I think that they would keep like your wrist from not like being more rigid, so that you might be able to punch harder.
It probably gives you some kind of advantage. So that's why
I'm a lover, not a fighter, Troy. So don't ask me.
There you go. But it's very interesting. The Schultz rule. So there it is. An enforcer has his own rule. Okay, so this card again, PSA 10. Card looks really nice. Zoom in, corners, edges, all look good. Which, PSA 10, it should. Centering looks, it looks dang near perfect, but maybe a 1% off. I don't know. It looks really nice. Love the picture of the old co-host stick. I love the no helmet, big hair, big beard. Plus, it's like I always said this, I like these rinks where it's the 70s. It's dingy. It's dark color. Like the lights went out. You got a goalie in the background hanging out. You can barely see him, but it's really dark back there. I really like the look of this card. Kind of dig. Do
you remember the old like even gymnasium or arena lighting where like it would take like 10 minutes for the lights to turn on?
You'd flip the switch and go, you just hear those suckers humming. Now it's like instant. It's like there might be like a 10-second pause, but then with LEDs, it's just like everything's on. Okay, so I love this card. Love it. This exact card sold on eBay. Same serial number and all. Verified in Terapeak on June 29th of this year for $73.72 US. I'm very curious if this is like a flip play.
Flipperoo.
I'm curious what this goes for, because that's always interesting when it sells within a month of when this one will sell. Current bid, $27 US.
Did you notice there's a lot of like 70s PSA 10 cards in the auction this week? Yeah,
I did.
So if that's your jam, you want like perfect condition 70s hockey. Yeah. Check out Fanatics.
Here's the back in case anyone cares. There's no cartoon, so I don't.
Oh, no cartoon.
Just a facsimile auto special autograph series. I should have looked into that.
Facsimile sticker auto.
I think that's a facsimile.
All right, one more vintage card to feature. It's a
Yeah,
1978.
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
what I wanted. I went through it. I looked. I was like, and I go, I better check. And I was like, oh, Josh got it. Shoot.
Early bird gets the worm try. 1978
true.
OPG hockey. Guy Lafleur, number 326 All Star PSA 9 mint
Mhm.
condition. I had never seen this card before, ever. Had you?
I have not. It's probably why I wanted, or just it stuck out, and it's such a. I think it's such a cool retro design. Or now it's retro. Back then it was probably state of the art.
I think you would have had to bought this card at a roller rink, don't you? Doesn't it give that roller rink vibe?
It does.
I love the OPG rough cut on both, especially the right and left side. It's big
Yeah.
there. I think it's PSA 9 because it's a little bit off centered, left to right. This is like the maximum rough cut that I like, but it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. That looks like Larry Robinson. I don't know if it is, but looks like him. Maybe not.
You got the Lafleur flow.
Yep.
It's a very unique hockey card. Like there's nothing even comparative to it designed. The card commemorates Lafleur being named to the NHL First Team All Stars in 1977. It's an honor he would receive 6 times in his 17 season NHL career. Lafleur is a 5-time Stanley Cup champion, 3-time Art Ross Trophy winner, 2-time Art Trophy winner, won the Conn Smythe in 1977, so the year before this card as well. Card's again a little off-centered, which is probably why I got the PSA 9 grade. PSA 9 pop is 31. There's one only the lonely PSA 10. Again, the card has a very kind of cool late 70s vibe to it. I think I always associate stuff, so I think roller rink. And I think Lafleur could be one of the more underappreciated players in the hobby. Maybe should have a little bit more of a chase, but hey, that's how it goes.
Yep.
Last sale of a 1978 OPG Guy Lafleur First Team All-Star PSA 9 was 85 US on June 30th. All-time high, 130 US from last December. You got a bid?
$26 US.
Kind of a cool card.
Very cool.
All right, we're going to switch to modern. A really big card. And if you're a pasta guy, you a pasta fan? You like spaghetti?
Yep.
Mom spaghetti? You need sweaty?
I am a pasta fan. Food.
Yeah. My daughter used to mix up the Eminem song, and she used to sing "Knees Are Sweaty," which is kind of funny. Nobody's knees are sweaty. Well, it's a 2014 Upper Deck the Cup Gold David Pastrnak rookie patch auto out of 10 BGS 910. Big time Pasta rookie, of course, available this week in the Fanatics Collect Weekly Auction. Pasta's one of those guys who probably should be a hobby superstar, but is kind of closer to Kucherov in hobby relevance than McDavid. And also, too, there's this thing in this wacky hobby where we value the True Cup RPAs typically over the lower number parallels. And I'm curious to see if that will continue in this case, because now remember, in 2014, Pastrnak was an out of 249 rookie, and this is a gold out of 10.
Yeah.
And the patch on this card is ridiculous. And here's what I love about it in particular. It's very obvious from the shoulder pad, and the image of Pasta on this card has both shoulder patches very prominent.
Yes.
And so you can associate the patch to the photo of the player easily. And I just think that's an amazing touch on the card and makes this a very, very nice RPA of Pastrnak. What do you think of the card?
Love the card. Love it's an auto, right? Autos are not easy to come by. Yep. Hard to get. Looks fantastic. I really dig this card.
Now, you know I'm the last 5 years guy on the show, so I had to look up some last 5 year stats. David Pastrnak has the third most goals of any player in the NHL in the last 5 seasons with 216. Only ahead of him are Austin Matthews with 257 and Leon Draisaitl with 222. Pasta also has the 6th most points in the NHL over the past 5 years, 443. Only one behind spot number 5, which is AM34, who has 444. So Troy, why doesn't Pasta get more hobby love? You know all the answers to these questions, so please tell the hobby.
Yeah, I have no clue. He's he's like an amazing player and just nothing.
He does Mitchie Marner, doesn't he?
He does.
Yeah. This card is never sold publicly, or any I couldn't find. I looked on both Terapeak and Card Ladder sales history, so it'll be fun to see where it ends up. You got a current bid?
$1,000 US.
Doesn't surprise me. I think this is
Yeah.
as far as pasta rookies go, this is a big one.
Yep.
All right, you got the next modern card.
Oh, do I got the next one? Even
Wait, hold on.
86? 86? Is that modern?
So I put a 92 Gretzky in vintage, and you put an 86 Tops in modern.
We should have switched them.
What a gong show! What a throw.
Yeah. I don't care. I saw this card. I had to put it in here. It's 1986 Tops. Roberto Romano, number 1.
I have no idea who that is.
Either did I. So that's why I did
Oh,
it.
good.
And yeah, PSA 10. Obviously, PSA Pop Josh, 1 of 3. I saw this card and I immediately fell in love. Now, why did I fall in love? I had this exact setup as a kid. I should have found a picture of it, but I had this.
He looks like a 13-year-old.
Like, doesn't it? I mean, this is
yeah.
It's just fantastic. Like, I'm kind of going off a little out of order, but the helmet, I had this helmet. He's got the Cooper, like there's a flapper here. It blends it with his jersey, but if you're watching on YouTube, around his throat, there's this like hard plastic flapper neck guard. Love it. I had that. He's got the Cooper glove, the waffle blocker. I had that. I had a Sherwood stick. My parents might still have Sherwood goalie sticks in their garage, and the brown awesome pads. I love this. This is what I looked like just as a little kid in net. So that's what really drew me to this card. Okay, there is an OPG version. Just I wanted to say that in case anyone cares about that. Now, again, PSA 10, corners look great. Edges look great. Centering looks pretty much on. Now, here's the one thing about this card. When I look at it, it just seems a tad blurry. And I don't know if you're looking on YouTube, I don't know if it's the picture they took like on the site or if it's the actual card. So I went out and tried to find some other ones and see this one, how it looks a lot cleaner or clearer. And I don't know if that is because of the picture used on the site or if it's actually the card. So I just want to just be aware if you're going to bid on this, if you're concerned about that, just be aware of this one. Now, again, love the picture. Now I had to learn about, like you said, I didn't know who Roberto Romano was. Pretty good guess, career backup. So 46 wins, 63 losses, 8 ties, 4 shutouts, and 126 games played over 6 seasons. Played 125 games with Pittsburgh and 1 game with Boston. So there you go. Got that one stint in with Boston. Pretty good. So again, Josh, this is another one where I found the exact card sold on June 18th of this year via eBay, verified in Terapeak for $49.99 US. Current bid on this card is $31 US. I love this. I love this card. Just awesome.
I think it appeals probably to a set builder, right?
Yes, or a goalie, or like a set builder, a goalie collector, or a Pittsburgh Penguins fan is really where this card lands. And if you want your PSA 10s, there's only 3 of them, so this probably doesn't come out very often. Yeah,
I got to do a little COVID update for you. I currently have 1 shoe off and 1 on, and I spent the last half of your talk about Roberto Romano trying to figure out why, and I have no clue. Like where my other shoe went. So things are going great over here.
Bag of the card, no one cares. All right, last card.
Thank God we got 1 more card left. All right. 2019 Upper Deck buybacks. It's an 01 Upper Deck vintage Mario Lemieux auto 101 NBA authentic. I really love
our
this
buyback
card.
expert. What's going on here?
I'm becoming a buyback Bobo. I don't know any, but I'm becoming one. I think I need a hobby sugar daddy to buy for me. You want to apply for that job, Brian? I think I can get you an interview. It's a hand-numbered buyback. The 101, which I like. Got this sweet Oli Lefsa auto, also known as Mario Lemieux. It is a gold ink auto. I think works on the card. And the card is a kind of a cool retro design.
Yep.
So, mamma mia, I'm in. Yeah, you're right. I'm becoming more and more of a fan of buybacks. I love the idea of taking a fresh take on an existing, more common card. That makes it, of course, special. One thing a little about this card, though, that did stump me is I had actually never heard of Upper Deck Vintage Set. Did you? Were you aware of 80 Vintage? Yeah.
Learn something new.
Looks like it was a multi-sport set. Not a single multi-sport set. It was a set produced in the early 2000s, but had versions for football, baseball as well. I didn't find any basketball. Cards very much a vintage feel, although I'm not sure. I don't think it's a reference to any specific like vintage set, because this is where it probably got weird, where Upper Deck couldn't use any of the old OPG designs, so they were making more just like vintagey looking cards. It's a lower end like paper product. Still looks nice though. But yeah, I don't know. Does that take away from the card at all that it's UD vintage and not very known from the hobby's perspective, or do you not
Yeah,
care?
I mean, maybe a little bit, but then again, it's a different Mario Lemieux auto that
Yeah.
any Mario Lemieux collector that wants to be a completionist is going to go for it.
Yeah, and then as far as like it being a 1-on-1, I don't know, like how
Yeah, that's kind of. I give it the shrug emoji.
special. Like if it was a 1 or 5, I don't think it changes the price much. But I think it's a
Yeah.
cool looking card. I like the gold on the yellow background. It works in a certain way, so
Mhm.
I don't mind it at all. The card is not yet sold publicly that I could find, which makes sense. Do you got a current bid?
$155 US.
Pretty low right now, I would say.
Mhm.
But all right, be sure to check out these 6 fantastic hockey cards and all the others available this week at fanaticscollect.com. Personal pickups. All right, Troy, you've alluded to it. The hobby's waiting. Everyone's at the edge of their seat. I'm dying of COVID sweats. So let's get
Yeah, go with sweats, and I'll be quick. So I just said, like, Parkhurst Champions came out on ePack. I was like, hey, I want to see what's out there for COVID Champions, and I found a case from a place called the Legend Shop, I think. Oh, I feel terrible. I'm gonna remember this. I think it was called Legend Shop in Grand Rapids, Michigan. They had one case for sale. I bought it. It came out to $72 a box, 12-box case. So
That's like half of the ePack price, almost.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And they only had one case, and I got it, and pretty excited. I'm going to keep it and bring it. It's going to be one of my rip boxes for the expo.
Nice. Well, thank God you said Grand Rapids, Michigan, and not Grand Rapids, Minnesota. Of course, the heated and hated rival of the Hibbing Blue Jackets, which I'm a proud alumni of, and I would have been mad at you if you got it from Grand Rapids.
Get mad.
Minnesota. I had one personal pickup, ePack, an ePack card. Talked a lot about ePack today.
Yep.
It's a 2021 Fleer Ultra Kirill Kaprizov Medallions, the Titan ePack Achievement card, which is out of 75. I've actually never seen, they're kind of coppery feel. Never seen one in person. Excited to see it. Got it on my card post, so shout out to them. Got a really good deal on it. I was also the 4,000th transaction, so that made me feel special. Everybody wants to feel special, and I felt special today. So, yeah. Excited to get the card. And that's our show. I made it.
Oh, I got to give an update. Real quick. Legends, Sports, and Games, Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay.
There we go.
All right. If you like the episode, please leave a rating review on Apple, Spotify, whatever podcast app you listen to us on. If you love the show, you want to support us, you want to chat with us on the Hockey Cards Gongshow Discord server, please consider a $5 a month donation. Join on a $1.99 support level tier on Patreon. Link is in the show description, whether you're watching us on YouTube or did I say that already? Or oh my God. This is what a disaster.
I want to add some special facts of
link is in the show description and places. It's on our Instagram, TikTok profile. It's on our website, hockeycardsgongshow.com, or you can go to the Patreon website directly, patreon.com. We're on social media, Troy. I don't know if you're aware. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and YouTube. And Troy, the Hockey Cards Gong Show podcast is a production of Dollar Box Ventures LLC. Have an amazing, what day is it? Thursday. Have an amazing rest of your week and weekend. Thank you so much, Baba Louie, Levi, whatever your name is, for all your help today. And we'll see you all on Monday.